Yoski, it's episode 5 of the Gaming Memories podcast, where I, Cade Call, aka Roboclip, aka the great gaming god, prophet, seer, and revelator of all things gaming, interview people you've most likely never heard of but are actually super dope, and you should hear of them because they do dope shit about their favorite gaming memories growing up. On this episode of the podcast, we have no shortage of dopeness when it comes to our guest, the one and only, the fighting game demigod himself, Thomas Winkley. When it comes to knowledge about gaming, Thomas is no joke. By day, he creates courses on Pluralsight for game development. He writes, records, and designs all the courses. If you want to learn how to make a game, 3D, 2D, or whatever, Thomas has got your back. If that piques your interest, head on over to pluralsight.com and check out his courses there. Adding to his wealth of video game knowledge prior to designing game development courses for Pluralsight, Thomas was a manager for multiple Gamestops for years and years and years, so he is intimately familiar with the retail side, marketing, buying, and selling of video games. And that's not all, folks. To add on top of his already stacked resume of video game wisdom by night, Thomas is a semi-pro Street Fighter V player. He doesn't just KO his competition when playing Street Fighter V, he does it with his own custom arcade sticks. If you're in the market for your own custom arcade stick for fighting games, Thomas Winkley is your man. He builds some of the dopest, best looking, most responsive custom arcade fighting sticks I have ever seen. And if I haven't convinced you of Thomas's gaming cred yet, on top of all of this, he is part of the Big Shiny Robot team. BigShinyRobot.com is a website based here locally in Utah, one of the OGs when it comes to geek culture, nerd culture, reviewing video games, reviewing movies, comic books, TV shows, etc. And they also have a very long-running podcast titled the Big Shiny Robot Podcast, in which Thomas has been an integral part for a long time. Make sure to check them out on your favorite podcast platform. Just simply search Big Shiny Robot in the search bar, hit them up with a like, hit them up with a share, hit them up with a subscribe. It's an amazing podcast, second only to yours truly, the Great Gaming Memories podcast. Now let's dive into what we talked about today. On this episode of the podcast, Thomas gives us a crash course on the basics of fighting game mechanics. From frames to setting up combos and distance management, Thomas has your back if you're interested in learning how to play fighting games competitively. We touch on the fact that Thomas had a chance to play Daigo competitively with Street Fighter V. If you don't know who Daigo is, he's probably the most well-known competitive Street Fighter player outside of the Street Fighter scene. I know who he was because back in 2004, he had this amazing comeback at EVO World Championships. It's the most amazing comeback you've ever seen. He had, and it's basically the most shared fighting game clip of all time. He's an internet superstar, and Thomas had a chance to play him and talks about what it was like playing someone at that level. We talk about if he was CEO, dictator, and all-powerful being over the company Gamestop, how he would turn the company around. And last but not least, if you're talking to me, we're going to end up talking about JRPGs, and this episode is no different. I am super honored to have someone as well credentialed as Thomas on the podcast. I had a fantastic time talking to him, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. Checky check. All right. Welcome to the podcast. We were talking about how good you are at fighting games.
Let's go with decent. How decent I am at fighting games.
So I asked him, where do you sit in the grand scheme of fighting games? And you said high school graduate or high school football player.
Versus like NFL.
Versus an NFL veteran.
Yeah.
Still pretty good, though.
Yeah,
you just won Salt Lake Comic-Con, right?
Gaming Con. Yeah.
Salt Lake Gaming Con, Street Fighter. You guys did Big Shiny Robot podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Is it still going?
Still do it. Yeah, we've been doing it for 7 years now. I actually just ordered a new audio interface today to replace my one from college.
And what'd you get?
Just new Personas. So I was rocking a Personas 8 Pre from forever. It didn't even have Windows 8 driver support. I think the last version they supported was 7. So I had
2 Personas 8s when I first started drum recording, and it was the Fire Studio,
Yep.
I think.
That's the same one I have.
Same one? Fire
I
Studio.
think we had the same ones, yeah.
Dang, you've had that forever.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I finally got a new laptop, and turns out you can't do USB to FireWire conversion very well. So here comes the update, getting that new USB-C model.
Dang. Well,
Yeah.
it's time to update. You've had that for a long
Yeah.
time.
Well, and I can use LightPipe, right, to link them, so I'll have 16 inputs. Yeah, it'll be good.
So, Big Shiny Robot, check that out. Do you have like an Instagram for fighting Street Fighter?
I don't. So I just, like, all my stuff I do is just on my name, just Thomas Winkley.
Thomas Winkley.
At Thomas Winkley. I think Instagram is at Thomas_Winkley, if I remember right. But yeah, I'm not creative. Like, I never got the generation that goes by their gamer tag. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just that's one more thing I have to remember, right? Like, yeah. So,
Big Shiny Robot, you guys do not just gaming, but movies, pop culture, comics.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Yeah, and it's a fully functional website. Actually, we just launched version 3.0, 4.0. We just had a huge site update like last weekend. So fully new update, whole new back end for our writers, which is pretty cool. So they have
How many guys are involved in that?
I think we have about 20 to 30 people.
Dang.
So yeah, there's the 6 or 7 of us that do the podcast, and then some of us used to write. I stopped writing 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We've got a good crew of solid staff writers now that are writing stuff, covering things, traveling a bit. So,
and is Street Fighter your main fighting game, or are you good at a lot of fighting games?
It's the only fighting game I really consider myself good at. Like, I play the new Mortal Kombat. I think it's dope. I tinker with like Tekken 7. I'll play any fighting game, but like if we're talking about being competent and having an understanding, Street Fighter 5 for sure is the only one.
And the new Killer Instinct is okay.
It's dope. No, so it's weird because like it's not.
It looks cool as hell.
So it's new on PC, but it came out on Xbox One
forever
ago, and that's where the competitive scene was. So like it's a great fighting game, super fun. It's built on the idea that there's a lot of guessing, right? So not guessing, but you have to know what your opponent's doing. So the idea with Killer Instinct is instead of hitting links for combos, you have chains. So you can just keep chaining a move to get the combo to extend, right? However, it has combo breakers, which is
the split second where they can stop it.
Yep, and they have to push the right version. So they have to, if you're doing the heavy version, they have to push a heavy button to break it, right?
Yeah.
But if they push a light version when you're doing a heavy, they get broken, or they get
So if they mess up, they get even more penalized?
Yeah, they can't break out of the combo, and you get way more damage. So that's kind of where the meta comes in, right? Is mixing up your combos on, am I going with a heavy version or a light version, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so Combo Breaker is a big fighting game tournament in St. Charles, Illinois every year. And Rick, the guy that runs it, he is a huge Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct guy. So it's one of the few major tournaments that's still running KI right now. And it's so much fun to watch. Like Killer Instinct is meant for spectators. It's got heavy hits, big bass, rock and roll music. Like that game is meant to bring hype. It's
What's
fun.
the hardest part about commenting fighting games?
Knowing what's going to happen and understanding situations, I think.
Yeah.
I think a really good commentator not only understands, and I would say I'm mediocre at best as a commentator, but they know not only like the frame data, they know all the interactions, they know all the combo routes, and they understand the mindset of the players a little bit so they can explain why things went down the way they did.
Yeah.
Because you'll see things where a player does something that looks completely random, and you're like, why would you do that? But if you understand, a high-level mindset, they probably thought the opponent was going to... They were like, no, you're going to jump forward. I'm going to do something to counter that. And so they do that immediately, and then the person doesn't jump, so it looks like they're just randomly jumping at them. So you have to understand like the mindset and the options at every like distance.
That sounds really hard. I was trying to compare it to... I train a lot of grappling and a little bit of kickboxing, like a lot of jiu-jitsu, submission grappling. And I don't know anything about fighting games other than they look cool and like just casually playing them. I wonder how much because there's the same idea as paths and certain options in certain games and style. That all plays out in like real fighting too. Right. I'm interested to how much of that meta actually a parallel. There's got to be some like Mighty Mouse. You know Mighty Mouse? He fights for the UFC. He's a big streamer. He'd be a good person to ask. He was like 12 title defenses in the UFC, and he's a huge gamer and loves fighting games. He'd be a good... someone like him should talk about how much that overlaps.
I would agree, and I think like with anything competitive, right? To me, Street Fighter or any fighting game is like high-speed chess, is how I compare it.
Yeah.
Because there really is it's chess with more options, right? Because you have a limited move set that you can perform that will successfully counter a situation, and your opponent is also moving in real time, and you're trying to adjust to them on the fly.
Yeah.
So I kind of compare it to high speed competitive chess, but I guarantee in fighting someone face to face, there's probably similar.
Yeah, people
similar
describe
ideas.
grappling, a lot of jiu-jitsu submission grappling as chess.
Yeah.
That same analogy is drawn. So yeah, that makes sense. As you were explaining it, I'm like, oh, that kind of already sounds like someone talking about fighting a little bit. And it's a fighting game. Wow. And in that real-time moment, I used to think fighting games are nothing like fighting. But now I'm like, hey, actually,
kind of.
there might be some elements. Yeah.
I don't imagine I'm a pretty big guy, and I'm in okay-ish shape, not the best shape. So, if I went up against a real submission grappler, I get the shit kicked out of me, yeah. But in a regular fight, I could probably hold my own, but I don't think Street Fighter would help me with that,
size definitely
right?
matters, too.
Right.
It's a big deal.
I don't think Street Fighter would help me with that. It would just be a...
You can't. There's nothing applicable.
Yeah, I can't, actually Dragon Punch.
But some of the meta and the parallels that sounded, that's interesting. Was your first... Because you love fighting games, is that the first type of game you got into as a kid?
No, actually. I played, RPGs and shooters pretty much growing up.
Dang.
Almost exclusively. I still play a lot of Final Fantasy, a lot of anything Square Enix makes. So on the Switch, Octopath Traveler, tons of Castlevania.
So you've done some of the new. You've done Octopath Traveler. Mm-hmm. How'd you like it?
It's okay.
It's okay.
I think Square Enix is at this weird part where they're trying to find a new way to make money and change up the JRPG rhythm, which is super cool. But some of the stuff they're doing is these really great ideas that aren't deep. And that's kind of how I feel about Octopath. After you get through the first 8 characters and get their World 1 story, you're basically just going on a cycle of, cool, now I go to the next city and I do the level 2 story and I fight all the monsters and get to the boss, and then that story is done.
The gameplay loop is sort of shallow.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so it's well, it's cool and it's beautiful, but I don't see why I wouldn't just take this gameplay loop and play Final Fantasy 15 or something,
Yeah, that's interesting, because I grew up playing JRPGs. And the PS1 is my golden era. SNES, JRPGs, PS1. But I haven't been able to try. I tried, what's the new one? I Am Setsuna.
Yeah, I picked that up, but I haven't played it yet.
And I've tried a bunch of them. I Am Setsuna, The Lost Sphere is the next one from Little Tokyo Game Factory. I tried both the Noni Kunis. I tried the new Dragon Quest, and just none of them. I make it an hour, 2 hours in. I just can't do it. But that I consider is my one of my favorite.
Yeah,
that's the most magical genre to me. But I just can't get into it anymore.
See, and what's interesting about Ni no Kuni is I love watching my wife play that game because I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
But I could give a shit less about the story.
Yeah.
So for me, if my wife's playing it, I will kick up on the couch and just watch her go through it because I just want to see the worlds.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can also look away and play on my phone or something and look back and see another beautiful scape.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I think I would agree with you there that I've struggled to really get pulled in by a lot of JRPGs lately. I generally, am I allowed to swear on this?
Absolutely.
All right. I generally feel like a lot of them, I'm kind of hate fucking them, right? I paid the money and I've just got to get through these games.
And you're don't want to waste your money.
Yeah, but I would say if we're talking modern RPGs that I'm still in love with and I can't talk enough good about, is The Witcher 3.
Oh my gosh.
That game just it redefined how RPGs should play for me.
First off, how do you feel about Geralt as Henry Cavill for the Netflix series?
I wasn't really I didn't really care much until I saw the latest trailer 2 weeks ago.
It was decent.
I was actually kind of into it. He doesn't look like the Geralt from the games, but he looks pretty fucking close.
And apparently, I didn't read the books, but it's closer to the books than the game.
Yeah.
Which I actually like because that means there's going to be more surprises.
Yep.
If it was based off the game, it would be... I would kind of already know what's happening and what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So I'm excited for that. The Witcher 3 is the only game that I have done 200 plus hours.
Yep. Easily.
And the only downside I would say about that game, the only thing, and maybe they did a lot of work and patches later. This may be better now. Is I did the first few areas. I did everything. I have a completionist
Yeah.
mind. So I did all the small, tiny treasures. and you don't ever really get all the best armor and the best games in the game. You find like the plans for it, then you craft them.
Right.
And so all this time getting all these chests and all these extra hours, all these little loots and the treasure maps, it didn't actually get me ahead in any way.
I would agree, and I don't think that. And again, I didn't do all of the hunting, but I remember spending a lot of time getting like an acid scale armor of some sort from the dwarven smith somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that helped me at all in any of the boss fights. Like the boss fights really came down to skill. Like,
which is good.
yeah.
Yeah, there's the end game. I don't know. There was really no reward. There wasn't even. There just doesn't seem to be a reward for that ultra completionist sort of mindset. Yep. But other than that, and the DLC, Blood and Wine. Did you play that one?
I started it and I haven't finished it.
You should finish it.
I've heard
I think it's
really
better
good.
than the main game.
That's dope. Okay, because that's the vampire one, right?
It's the vampire one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's awesome. And then Cyberpunk is coming. Cyberpunk is coming.
I want it to be good. I'm gonna struggle.
You want it to be good.
I'm gonna struggle with the shooter part. So like in the last probably 10 years for me, shooters are really like even like Borderlands, which I recognize as a good game. I can't stick with it. Even though I think it's dope. I just can't like for whatever reason I just get tired of shooting.
I'm not a huge shooter fan, and I was really let down because I was expecting it to be a third-person game when it wasn't. But I have faith in CD Projekt.
Oh, yeah,
I have a lot of faith.
They're an amazing studio.
Yeah, so we'll see. Sweet. What was the first video game you remember? Very earliest video game memory. And also, what year you were born, so people kind of know.
Oh, yeah. So I was born in 85. So I'm
same year as me. Awesome.
Yeah. So I think we're about the same age. I'm in my 30s. Losing hair, growing up. So I don't know if it's my earliest.
Do you want a drink, by the way?
No, I'm good, man.
No, like soda or anything? Water? Actually, all I have is Zevias and coffee.
I'll take a coffee if that's cool.
Okay.
So like just remembering, I would say my earliest memory would be an Atari. Like my parents had this like broken ass Atari.
Really?
Yeah, and it was in rough shape. Like getting it to work was a whole thing, right? Oh, thank you, man. Especially as like a kid, right? Trying to hook up an Atari. Not easy. But I remember playing like Pac-Man with them, and I remember playing. What was the game? It was like a cowboy shooter, and you move up and down.
Top down?
Yeah,
I think I've seen.
And you have the little cactuses in the way. Yeah. And like so, that was like I was super young.
You had to be. I think you can remember younger than I can because if we're the same age, you had to have been like 4, 3.
I think so.
And my
really
earliest
young.
memories are like 6, 5. Okay. Yeah.
But like that, I remember that, and like my best memory though is Mario World for Super Nintendo. Like that game
for Super Nintendo.
Super NES, yeah, Super NES Mario World. Years later.
Did you do any NES before SNES?
Mm-hmm. My friends had a NES. I didn't.
So you didn't have one at home.
No, I would.
That makes sense.
We'd roll over and play like we'd play like Little Nemo, and we'd play like.
You're the
Double
first one
Dragon.
to bring that up,
dude. That game was dope.
Little Nemo was awesome.
But I never owned any of those, so I just played them at my friends' houses. So for me, like Super NES was the first system I officially owned as a person or whatever.
Out of the ones at your friends' houses, that small time that you remember playing your friends before you got a SNES, which one is your best memory?
Oh, dude,
what would it be?
Playing Double Dragon with them.
Double Dragon.
We would play Double Dragon.
Also, the first person to bring that up.
Yeah, we would get together and they had 2 controllers, right? And so we'd just see how far. And we could never get very far, but yeah, Double Dragon for sure.
I loved that you didn't even have to think about it. It was straight. Yeah. Yep, Double Dragon.
Double Dragon.
That was the best.
Oh man, I love that game. You get the sticks, the legs of the little robot walkers, and beat people with them.
Yep.
Yeah, fucking love that game. Yeah.
So then you did get a SNES, which means you would have been, we're like already jumping to like 8 years old, 9 years old,
Yeah,
you think?
I feel like I got the SNES late though. I'd have to like really dig to get the date out, but like I remember it came in a bundle. I got like the Christmas Mario World bundle, so I got the SNES with Mario World. And then they got me like Super Street Fighter 2, which was very influential on me as a person.
Obviously, that's kind of started.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what like.
Did you play a lot of Street Fighter 2 and get good at it as a kid?
I did. Like we used to have like the neighborhood kids that come over and we'd play for hours and hours and hours, and like I never got over the feeling of knowing how to beat somebody. Like that was the best feeling. I'd like not because I don't love dominating people, but like the feeling of.
Who doesn't?
Right,
Let's be real.
But like the feeling of like figuring somebody out and just handling the situation felt so good as a kid, and that's what pulled me back into fighting games, 6-7 years ago. So, yeah, I really.
Who'd you mainly play as on the Super Nintendo?
Blanca and Honda.
Oh, yeah, Blanca was definitely my favorite. I just thought he was the coolest.
Yeah.
His story of like he got experimented on, and now he has these crazy powers. Did you watch Did you watch the live action Street Fighter as a kid?
I did.
I've never rewatched it. Have you watched it in recent times?
Not in
I wonder
like 10
how
years.
bad it really is. I know it's bad.
So I built an emulator on a Raspberry Pi, and I ran a Sega Saturn emulator and played the Street Fighter movie game.
Oh, with the digitized like Mortal Kombat type graphics.
And that game was shitty. So if the movie is even close to as bad as the game, like, because I reference it fondly all the time, right? Because you got Raul Julia as Bison.
Yeah.
You've got wasn't it JCVD was Guile? Like it was.
I wanted to say Van Damme was Guile, but maybe not. I don't think it was.
It wasn't Van Damme? I thought it was Jean-Claude.
No, I'm saying it probably wasn't Van Damme.
Okay.
I don't trust my memory.
That's fair. I thought it was though too. So maybe we're having like a shared memory of something that wasn't real. But
or he looked like Van Damme.
Yeah, and so yeah, I have these fond memories of it, but something tells me it won't hold up. But I haven't.
I remember being let down in their portrayal of Blanca because he was my favorite. I'm like, he's not cool at all in the movie.
No, he's like
so cheesy.
It was cheesy. He was kind of weak, and I don't think they had the special effects to really pull him off.
What about now the opposite end? I loved the Street Fighter 2 anime.
Yep, I still watch that at the gym sometimes.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
it's so good.
I remember. I think my favorite fight. The stylized action. You didn't have access to anime as a kid,
right?
And so the anime has especially action scenes. I was talking about with Todd from Kuma Films, trying to explain what is it about anime that the westerns. The closest I've seen from a western is the new, I think it's called Alita or Attila.
Alita Battle Angel?
I loved that movie.
That movie was dope.
There were moments where I'm like, okay, this has some of what I've always liked about anime that the West has never. And it's something about like the style and the timing and how things pause and exaggerate. That just, there's nothing better.
And that's actually why I like Street Fighter. So I went to a GDC talk 2 to 3 years ago, and it finally summed up what I love about it. So they have an art book at Capcom. It's like they call it their Bible or whatever, but it's an art book from the 80s that shows how to draw fighting. And so like they don't draw like if you look at the proportions of a Street Fighter character, they're not right.
They're definitely not right.
They have like big Popeye forearms because you want the point of impact to be big. So
to exaggerate the depth and the hit.
Exactly. And I feel like anime does a lot of that too, right? Like they really focus on those hits. And like drawing out the at least the older anime. Like I just got done rewatching Rurouni Kenshin.
That was good.
And
the live action of that Samurai X Rurouni Kenshin.
I haven't seen that.
There's 3 of them. It's a trilogy.
Really?
And it is the closest. They use wires, but it's not like Crouching Tiger.
Okay.
They use wires like really subtly.
Really?
So it's all realistic, and then he'll like slide back and slide forward.
Sick.
But it's not. And then what's that? Also, what's the word for? We're trying to figure this out, Todd. When something in anime with the sword, when they slice through it really fast, and then it pauses. And then the person falls apart, like delayed.
Like the follow through almost, like the...
Yeah, is there a word for that? Because it's all over the place.
I don't know what the word is, but I totally know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter 2, the anime, that was...
Oh my god.
I had access to Dragon Ball Z, which I would wake up on Sunday mornings, and Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And I've never seen Dragon Ball before. I've only seen Pokemon.
It's cool, but when I finally saw Street Fighter 2... It was like, oh, Dragon Ball sucks. Just because Dragon Ball is a TV show, like the production quality, the animation quality is way lower, whereas Street Fighter 2 was a movie.
Right.
And I remember 2 fights. The fight with Sagat, or Sagat, however you say it, in their depiction of like the grass when he gives him the uppercut.
Gets the
he gives him the scar. And then the fight with Vega and Chun-Li in the apartment was just...
That fight is insane.
That was amazing.
Oh, and her finally throwing the couch at him.
Yes.
Just that shit was...
I get the chills.
Yeah, and she
it's so good.
Like the ending move is her putting him face first through the wall out of the apartment.
But she does the signature speed kick through the wall and he falls out the skyscraper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, that fight. And especially that Guile shows up and he's like, I'm here to save you. And he's like, you're late.
I don't
You're
need
late,
you.
bro. Yeah, you're late.
But she's pretty beat up, which makes Vega... You're also scared of Vega.
Dude, he's a psycho in that
He's a psycho. Yeah, man, that was so good. So now we're in the SNES era. What is the next kind of... Did you get into Zelda? Is that how you got into JRPGs?
Yeah, so I played a lot of Zelda. Actually, Final Fantasy 3. Or the
6,
American 3,
I guess.
Japanese 6.
Okay,
yeah,
sweet.
sorry. I think of the cartridge and see the 3, but... So that game... I remember going down. So back in the day, if you're under the age of I don't know, like 25. There were these things called video stores. And so I remember we had Video Shark, which was walking distance-ish from my house.
Did you grow up in Utah?
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of Video Shark.
Yeah, it was this one little shop in West Jordan where I grew up, and I would literally walk or ride my bike like the quarter mile to this little Video Shark, and I would rent a game, right? So I would get usually Zelda, not Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past. I would get Link to the Past, or I would get one of the Final Fantasies they had in stock, right? So I think they had. I think Mystic Quest was. No, it was a Game Boy
Quest.
One. I think it was a Game Boy Advance.
No, Mystic Game Boy. Is it Mystic Quest? There is a SNES one that my brother talked about, and it's not 2 or 3.
It's not 2 or 3.
I think it is Mystic Quest.
Maybe
there's another sub name.
Yeah. But so I would get that, or I would get 6, and I played the hell out of that game. Finally got like the money to buy it. And I'm pretty sure I finished that game like 30 plus times in my lifetime.
Wow.
Going into like 2 years ago where I played.
And you played 6 first? Did you go back and play the previous one?
I have. So I don't think I've played 2.
I think that's 5, and it was 2 when it came out.
Yeah, but I think I've started 5 a bunch on like different ports. But like definitely finished 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Well, 11 you don't finish. 11, but I played 11 for a while, 12.
So you did Link to the Past. Which one did you like more, Link to the Past or 6?
6 for sure.
Definitely for sure.
But I love Link to the Past. Like, I love the top-down 2D Zeldas, but like 6 is probably my all-time favorite game. Like probably, in my opinion, the best game I've ever played.
So those are really common. So I like to ask people is to see what people remember differently about it, what sticks out to them. What's your favorite memory or part of Link to the Past, and what's your favorite memory or part that impacted you the most in 6?
Yeah. So Link to the Past, the memory I have the loudest and I loved is when you have to push the throne aside to get into the basement under the castle, like super early in the game, right? Like, like for whatever reason as a kid, I just thought that was so cool that there was a secret passage behind the throne.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that. For 6, I loved Shadow. Shadow was the best character to Tom because he was a ninja and he had a dog. Exactly. Yeah. That was my thing.
I always loved ninjas, so yeah.
I mean, that's like, I play a little bit of Samurai Showdown, but just so I can play Genjiro, who has...
Okay, since you love ninjas...
Galford, who has a dog.
Galford, yeah. Galford, he's good. What's your favorite ninja depicted in video games? I'm hoping it's mine, because I nerd out about ninjas. Or top 3, if you have...
So... favorite ninja.
Who's the dopest ninja?
It's tough to say. Like, there's so many different ninjas. So I mean, obviously, I play Ibuki in Street Fighter V. I have her tattooed on me.
I love her art.
I really like Ibuki.
When I first saw Street Fighter 3, that was my favorite character. That I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so dope.
She's super fun on Third Strike. I don't love. Is it Hanzo? So is
that Samurai Showdown, Hanzo?
Yeah, so I like Hanzo. I think Hanzo from Samurai Showdown looks pretty dope. I don't love, I like the aesthetic of the guy from Ninja Gaiden. I guess is it Ryu?
Ryu Hayabusa?
Yeah, but I don't. He's pretty generic. He's not a well-designed ninja. That's a tough question, man. I don't know. I'm thinking I really like Ibuki. I like Guy in Street Fighter 4. I love Zeku, who's in 5. I think he's a dope ninja because he stand switches. Oh, no, dude. Strider Haru.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Okay, I was like, wait.
Strider's my favorite.
Yeah. And
I wanted to ask you, because you also, I guess, play around with gaming dev. My idea, I've been trying to teach myself Unity, which is goddamn the hardest fucking thing I have ever tried in my life.
Yep.
The time it takes for me to, move one step forward and to understand something, it's been grueling. I'm not going to give up, but, the barrier to entry for learning how to make music wasn't even 1/10, wasn't even 1/100th of how hard this has been.
Well, and what I try to tell people, because when they ask about it, because I teach quite a bit of it, I project manage people teaching it, and they're like, why do you need so much content? It's the entire Adobe Creative Suite lives inside of Unity. It's one app that contains all of that shit, and it's a lot, and you have to understand 3D modeling just enough to know why it's happening.
Yeah,
you have to know how to script. It's a program.
Hard. So my idea is, because I don't have interest, my favorite type of game is a Metroidvania, which I know has been blown up lately with indie games. I don't care. I'm buying all of them. I want more.
Same.
Keep them up.
Yep.
So I've been trying to import the fighting sprites from Strider.
Okay. Yeah.
And then remap so basically not do the exact same moves, but like turn those into like a walking motion and like a heavy combo and and turn them into like more of like a Symphony of the Night, or maybe like you have an attack, like you have a heavy combo and a light combo, and you can mix between the two, and you can upgrade and make them longer. And I'm just taking different moves and then trying to get that to move around and build like a Symphony of the Night sort of thing, but all using fighting game assets.
Okay.
Just to teach myself.
Yeah.
And then
and especially there's a lot of good sprite sheets out there you can grab from a lot of the old
I've got
arcade
them all.
machines.
I have
They're beautiful.
like 40 gig of sprites.
Yeah.
I've found them all. But it's just to like import a sprite.
Yep.
Get like a standing motivation, like just to do the most simple things is taking me so long. But my idea is like, if I could actually flesh this and build it all out, then I could actually draw on top. I could use them as references. I could create new characters. I see people reskinning the same shit all the time online. I'm like, look, I don't know how to do art, but maybe I could build this out and then pay an artist to come in and do art based on like, here's your animation. You tweak it a little bit, maybe like and then I just have to swap sprites, everything that's already built. I have to swap assets. That was my idea until I started actually trying to learn how to do it. Now I'm like, oh, this is like a decade project.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It is. And like, it's one of those things too where the first time you do it, like the first time you take a sprite sheet and turn it into an animation, it'll take you an hour and a half.
You get faster at it.
Yeah, and then like the fifth or sixth time you do it, it'll take you 10 minutes. Because you'll be like, oh, I know where all the things are, and I'll click and drag and move the things. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a ton. And that's why there's literally specialization inside of it, right? Like, I am a programmer. I am great at code. I am dangerous when it comes to anything else. But I have people that I work with that are just lighting artists. All they do is make stuff look good with light. And I have people that all they do is create amazing looking characters. Like, that tool, you can have someone who does everything, right? But a lot of times you're going to have 15 people that do just very specific functions because of how much time it can take. Like, lighting a scene can take a long time.
And that makes me even more impressed about, there's a handful of games that have come out made by one person that have done pretty well. Axiom Verge was a single dude.
That game is so good.
And that's kind of what, and I know it took him 7 years to do it.
Right, but he did everything.
Everything.
And it's just so good.
It's so good. Iconoclast is a new one.
I haven't tried that one yet.
That's a single guy. Hollow Knight is like a duo with some support staff.
I really like Hollow Knight.
That's one of the best.
It's beautiful.
So good. Dang.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've bought Hollow Knight 3 times. PlayStation, PC, and then Switch. Yeah, 3 times. Yep,
I got it on PC and Switch. A new one that I've been playing, I've never even... You're going to laugh. So I know there's all these like weird anime girl Steam games and like sex games. This isn't one of them. It's like a girl dating series called like Touhou, Touhou.
Oh, I've heard about Touhou, but I haven't played it.
It's apparently they make like some other genre of game.
Okay.
But they made like one single Metroidvania as like an offshoot.
Really?
I guess to their universe. It's like she's like in a dream. It's like a comic book. Like we just need an excuse.
Is it Touhou Gensai Wanderer or whatever? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a really good Metroidvania. I don't know anything about Touhou or anything. But it plays like a anime, like beat 'em up.
Okay.
It has the best like tight action. It's not clunky. Like I love Bloodstained. I just played all the way through Bloodstained. But it's a kind of a floaty, slow.
It's a little
I don't know. Touhou's like a fighting game Metroidvania.
I've heard good things about Touhou. Speaking of Japanese dating sims, have you played Doki Doki Literature Club?
No, but I've seen that everywhere.
Dude.
People talk about it. Something about dating games.
Dude, it's free. Okay. I'm telling you right now, it's not what you think. It's fucked up. You gotta play it. You gotta play it. It's 2.5 hours and it's incredible.
Yeah, that's one of those ones people always talk about on Reddit. I see on forums.
Yeah.
Another one is Steins Gate. People keep saying
I've heard Steins Gate's really good,
like
but
one
I
of those
haven't
visual
tried it.
novels. I'm like, never tried one of those.
This one, so like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a dating sim mixed with a horror game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do a yearly podcast with some homies where he uploads them once a year. I don't know even where he uploads them, but it's like this crew of 5 buddies that have all been gaming buddies forever, but we're all adults. But every year we get together and we talk about our top games for the year. And one year, one of the guys brought that game up. And we were just clowning the shit out of him. He's like, no, I promise you.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. It's not what you think.
Yep.
So you're the second person that's recommended that.
It's crazy. Like, and at the end of it, you're just like, the fuck? And it's... they do stuff that games don't do, and I don't know how to say it without ruining it for you, but you have to actually edit game files in order to get to the ending of the game. It's really good, dude.
So it's really meta, it seems like.
Yeah, it's super meta, and like
I'm all right.
It's,
All right,
it's sick.
that intrigues me.
It's sick. It's free, and apparently the rumor is it's a trailer for the game that this studio is actually going to make. But the game's been out for 2-3 years, and I haven't seen anything from them yet. So anyway, Doki Doki's dope.
Doki. After you played 6 in SNES.
Yep.
What else stands out for you SNES times? And did you have a Genesis at all?
I did not. So my friends had a Genesis.
Okay.
So like Toe Jam and Earl, I played that.
That
Sonic CD.
Toe Jam and Earl. You're the first one to bring that up.
So
did you play 1 or 2? Funkatron or the first one? Is it top-down view or side scroller? Do you remember?
It was top down.
That's the first one.
Okay, yep.
A little bit better.
Down. So I played that. Sonic and Knuckles. Oh man, those games were good. Believe it or not, the first time I played Mortal Kombat was on a Genesis.
That's because it had blood.
Had the blood code.
Yes.
Yep. ABBACAB, right? Abacab, I think so.
I don't. Oh, you did know? Was it SNES that had a code?
No, I think
no. You had to put a code for Genesis.
Yeah, SNES had an option that you could just turn it off and on.
Okay,
in the
I thought it was
settings.
like sweat when they did it in the SNES. It was
I
like
think so.
white instead of
But yeah, it was Abacab on Genesis. I think got the blood.
It was
on.
blood. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was because I had a Genesis growing up. I talked about it on the podcast already, but short story. I saved my chore money for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Got a Genesis and got Sonic 2, and I remember not a lot of people had Genesis. SNES was more, and I was always like, and I think in hindsight, the SNES overall is a better console. I think overall.
Sure.
And I hated that because people would talk shit on me, and there were certain games on SNES I was like, yeah, but I just remember holding on to the Mortal Kombat. Oh yeah, well my version of the game has blood, you pussies.
Yep.
So enjoy that SNES because you play this watered down pussy shit, and I got the That's kind of made me feel good.
Yeah, no, Mortal Kombat on Genesis was awesome. So yeah, I didn't have a Genesis, but my favorite game on Genesis, just since we're on that rabbit hole, did you ever play the Double Dragon fighting game that was on Genesis?
Double Dragon.
And it
I
had
did Streets of Rage, but not Double Dragon.
So the Double Dragon fighter, it was 1v1. It had, Billy.
Oh, it was
Jimmy.
a 1v1
Yeah, it was
Dragon.
like an actual fighting game.
I did not know. I didn't even know that.
And it had was it Gobstopper or was it Jawbreaker? Jawbreaker, right? The guy with like the big tongue. But he had a command grab where he would eat them and spit them out. Oh, I loved that game.
There was a 1v1
Double Dragon
game.
Fighter. I think it was called like Double Dragon Fighters.
Completely past my radar. So
sick.
What's one more thing that sticks out on Genesis? Since your friends had it,
Double Dragon Fighters was good. Sonic, like we played Sonic and Knuckles so much because the cartridge, and you put the cartridge on top of the cartridge. Yeah, that was a big deal. I think those are really the big ones for me. I can't think of much else that we played. I didn't ever play any of the like cult classics now, right? Like Echo the Dolphin or I think really the Sonics, the main ones. Golden Axe. My buddy had wasn't Golden Axe on Genesis?
Which game?
Golden Axe.
Yeah, Golden Axe. I think there's 3 Golden Axes.
Dude, I love the Golden Axe. So like that, played a lot of Golden Axe.
Did you do is there any, in this early childhood, any arcade or PC gaming that sticks out to you?
PC gaming, so like my first PC game experience was actually Diablo.
Okay, so much later.
Yeah, I didn't have a PC until Diablo, and then like I went back and played like Quake, Heretic, Hexen.
So you back cataloged it all.
Yeah, I played like Doom. But yeah, I haven't. What I'm trying to think of like arcade. Biggest arcade stuff was Street Fighter 2. Like there was a grocery store by my parents' house. Mom would go in there to shop, give me $1, and I would hang out and play Street Fighter 2 Turbo until she was done.
While she was shopping.
Yeah, while she was shopping.
Oh, you loved the grocery store.
Dude, yeah, it was the best. It was the best. Like I remember the day that machine went away, I was so sad. Like I got there one day and like the Street Fighter machine was gone, and I was like, what's
the point of living?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that would definitely be my arcade memories. That and like the Simpsons arcade game too.
That's a good one,
dude. That was I love that game. Nickelcade.
Yeah. Do you remember the X-Men beat 'em up arcade game?
Yeah,
that one. I remember. I think once I got to the Nickelcade, maybe a little bit older than this, but I just I'm gonna beat this, and Nickelcade, you bring in like 10 or something bucks. That's a lot of nickels.
Yeah,
and good. And I went through a lot of nickels to beat that game because those games were designed. There's not really like a way to get good and not die.
Exactly. Those games were designed to eat your quarters.
They were designed to eat your quarters. But it doesn't matter.
Have you been to? Speaking of quarters, have you been to the Quarters Arcade Bar downtown?
There's an arcade bar in Salt Lake now?
Yeah, they opened about just over a year ago. Do you remember where
Dang.
the Club Manhattan was on 4th?
Yes, I know where Manhattan is.
That's where they are now. So they bought
didn't
Club
know that.
Manhattan. They've got the X-Men Beat 'em Up. They've got Turtles in Time, the original.
Ooh.
They just dropped in a new Turtles. So there's like a new Turtles arcade game that's 4-player that is like, it looks just like Turtles in Time with better graphics to me.
Oh, that's the remake. It was on 360, I think, as well.
Yeah, so they've got the arcade version of that in there. They've got Street Fighter 2, all the MKs. Yeah, they have a ton of pinball.
I didn't know Salt Lake had one. I've been to Denver has 2 called One Up, and there are 2 locations.
We have I haven't been to One Up. Sorry, go ahead.
So I just didn't even know Salt Lake had.
Yeah.
I thought that was. I didn't know we were cool enough to have that.
Yeah, so Quarters is independent, and they're super. Katie and Michael are way dope. I actually run a Street Fighter tournament there once a month. But then we also just got Round 1 in Southtown Mall as well, and they actually have legit Japanese Vuelix cabs for Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5. Melty Blood, a lot of the good fighting games. With the actual for 5, you can get the Nessica card.
Ooh.
So that actually tracks, like you register your tag to it. It tracks your points.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Have you visited Japan ever?
I've never been. I want to go real bad.
One of the things that really was so fun about Japan, and I'm sure there was the same thing. I went there. The arcade wasn't dead. There was arcades everywhere,
and they're still alive today.
And there's a lot of kids there. And there was like a third-person mech, kind of like.
Oh, it was like a 3v3 or like a.
Maybe it was 3v3. It was like you were in an arena. It played. It wasn't slow like Mech Warrior. It was like you could kind of like dash. It played a little like Zone of the Enders.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But you were on the ground. You weren't flying. Or did you play a game on PS1 where you were like these hover tanks, cyber tanks or something?
Sounds familiar.
Anyway, but they gave you a card. So you get a card. You register your name, and wherever you go, you pick. Like even though you go to a different arcade, you pick up where you left off.
Yep.
And everything. And I just like I went with a budget, be like, oh, we're gonna get souvenirs. I'm doing stuff. I spent like 90% of my budget just playing this game. We like go travel. We have somewhere to break. I go find an arcade.
Yep.
I'd play a few games. Dude, it was awesome.
Yeah, and I wish we had that here because that's still like, especially in fighting games, right? That's a big thing. Like it's becoming more westernized now, where people play on console. Like there's a couple really good pro players that played on console in their home and then moved in, but like a lot of the greats, that's where they live. They go to Akihabara or wherever, and they play. They practice in the arcades. And when you go to Japan and you roll into an arcade, literally from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., there's 30 pros playing matches at the arcade because that's where they practice. That's where all the goods hang out. Which, sidebarring back into fighting games, is why Japan is so dominant in a lot of them. In a lot of games, and it takes so much time for the U.S. and for Europe to catch up because they have that culture. And like random people in Japan are better than really good people in a lot of other countries because they just do it.
I believe that because there's something about being there in person, the pressure, and like you're playing good people.
Yep.
They were so. I mean, that whatever game I was playing in Japan, I literally never killed anybody. I kept trying. Everyone was so good, and I was It was, and I would see like guys because you would see like sometimes their stats. They put the card in and you see, and I was getting a sense of like how many levels there were and how many points a game. And I was realizing like, oh, this guy's put 10,000 hours into this game. I mean, you look at it like, oh my, geez.
Yeah, like
and they're so good.
Yep, and for them, like it's not like a life calling. It's just what they do to unwind after work sometimes or whatever. But they're still damn good at it. And Japan's the same way in almost everything. Like you go to a Japanese tournament and it's wild. Because you'll sit down against a guy you've never heard of, never seen before, and they are just doing the craziest good shit because they knock off after work every day for an hour or two.
That's what they do. They seem to have a much more structured, scheduled lifestyle, from what I could tell. I mean, I went there for a business trip, so I did interact with some natives, but I could see that. It's like, this is how my work, everything, then this is my time. I play the game, and I've been doing that for this many years, whatever. That adds up. You get really good. What other games on SNES stick out to you?
Man, I gotta think. Talked about Zelda, talked about Final Fantasy, talked about Street Fighter.
No, yeah.
Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana's good.
Was it Legend of Gaia?
Legend of
I think it was
Gaia's a PS1.
Maybe it was Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia, yes.
Maybe it was Illusion of Gaia, where you're like the big paladin and you're running around. Yeah, it's Illusion of Gaia.
So you were doing like those kind of action RPGs. There's another one, Secret of Evermore.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Secret of Evermore.
With the dog?
Yeah. Yep.
That one's good.
Evermore was dope. Oh man, you're making me go back. I'm trying to think what games I owned, dude. So I don't know if this is like I was a kid, but the Animaniacs game. Did you ever play like the Animaniacs game or Buster Bust Loose?
I did a Tiny Toons game, but I don't know about
It-
Animaniacs.
They were just like these not shitty. They were just like these platformers, and I played the hell out of them.
Animaniacs was cool.
Yeah, it was a great show.
I could imagine that, yeah.
And the game was pretty fun. I played that. ActRaiser, I really like, but I never played ActRaiser as a kid. I played it like on an emulator
Later.
like 8 years ago. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So I wouldn't consider that like a childhood memory. I like ActRaiser. What other SNES games were we super huge into? Played.
I'm interested because you're not, like you mentioned Final Fantasy 6 and Zelda's pretty common.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you haven't mentioned a lot of stuff that a lot of people have mentioned. So that's what I'm usually interested in is how people differ.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else I'm like missing, but like those were kind of our mainstays. Mario World, of course. Like I beat Mario World 100 times. Mario All Stars. I loved Mario All Stars because Mario 3 was on it, and that was my Mario 2 and 3 were my favorite Marios. Mario RPG.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dude,
Not a lot of people have talked about that.
I think it's a bunch
So
of those.
you didn't. A lot of people bring up Donkey Kong.
Okay, Donkey Kong Country.
Okay.
That's a miss. I should have brought. I played the hell out of those games.
But that was-
Yeah.
I remember being just the graphics on that game
Right.
blew me away. I couldn't believe it was real, and yeah.
And finding the DK coins was like a quest for me as a kid.
Yep.
Like, that was that's probably the first game I ever completed, and wanted to 100%.
Did you do the second one and the third one?
I did the second. I didn't play the third.
Okay.
I remember playing a little bit with a friend and thinking it was weird. And
Yeah,
then
there's
just,
like a
not,
big baby.
Yeah.
And a girl with blonde hair. Yeah, it was the characters were, but I remember the overworld on that one. What I liked about Donkey Kong Country is you had like this overworld that had secrets itself, and then
Yeah.
the levels had secrets. The Tropical Freeze, I think, on the Switch or Wii U
Yeah, they just ported that from Wii, right?
is pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
It's hard.
The
And
problem
other-
the problem I have is that Nintendo, even though they're like porting these games from old consoles, they're still real proud. Like they're like, yeah, this game's $60 and it's a port, and I'm like, it's hard.
the thing is, we pay it.
I know.
That's
I know,
why they do it.
But I haven't paid it on that one.
Yeah,
Like, there's
if,
a couple of
if you're
them.
holding, if you're talking shit and like, no, I'm not buying this game for that, then I respect it.
But at the same time, if they were like, hey, by the way, we just ported Final Fantasy VI to the Switch, I would give them $60 for that. So I can't get on a high horse.
They haven't.
'cause-
What did I get recently? That was they. It is always a little, like some of the stuff on Steam, like the PS1s that they ported. I mean, they were like $20 or $30.
Yeah.
It was kind of like,
especially on Steam, because you know if you just wait for a summer sale.
and they're lazy ports.
Yeah.
Well, Final Fantasy IX was decent. The
Okay.
port on that one is decent because it comes with a lot of quality of life improvements. You can quick save
Oh,
state,
that's
and load
nice.
anytime. And then you can also there's like a speed multiplier.
Oh, so you can move
So
quicker.
you can
That's
like
nice.
grind through battles and like cut scenes. Like if you die and you have to like go through something again, you can just blaze through it and hit X. Like there's some really good quality of life improvements, which on Zodiac Age for Final Fantasy 12 on Steam is the best so far, in my
Yeah.
opinion. PC port of one of the older Final Fantasies.
I've been playing the remaster on PS4, and I would agree with you there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So solid.
Yeah, because they have the speed thing as well. You have the ability, which I realized because you have like the sphere grid, and then you also have like the skill grid.
Yeah.
Where you have to unlock just to use something, like, unlock the ability to use this new sword that even though you bought it, you have it, you
Yeah.
can't use it. And that mechanic always felt like this is leveling up with just an extra layer with really no reason.
Right. Instead of experience, you're just making me grind money. Like
Yeah, it's like now I have to have two currencies for the thing that used to be one currency. Well, the Zodiac Age, you could just get unlimited whatever it is to unlock the skills. So I did that. It gives you straight nines. I just went through and unlocked everything. So then when I played the game, as soon as I got like a new item, I could use it immediately. And
see, that's nice.
And that was like that and the speed multiplier. And that's a really good game. Well, I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yeah,
but
it's solid. I'm still not done with it, but it's solid. Yeah.
it's long. To do all the hunts in that game
my gosh, yeah.
is a commitment,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah.
All right, so from SNES, what was your next console?
N64.
64.
Yeah.
So you didn't get a PS1.
I did later. So that was the first console I bought with my own money. Was a PS1.
Okay. So you're still a kid, you get a 64.
Yep.
What was the first game you got? Was it around lunchtime or had it been some
It had
games?
been out for a minute, so I want to say it was either Mario 64, No, it was Mario Kart. It was Kart.
A lot of people say that's the best Mario Kart to this day.
Yeah, I like the Switch one. The Switch remake is fine. I'm not like a Mario Kart purist or enthusiast.
Yeah.
I don't know that Mario Kart's done anything new since Mario Kart 64.
Yes.
It's just they just have a really good formula and you play your Mario Racer. Yeah. But I think Kart was the first one I got. I can tell you right now that I am a Castlevania 64 apologist and I love that game. I've beaten it like 100 times. It was so good because I just loved it as a kid. I loved it.
I love that you say that.
Yeah.
There's like 3 Castlevanias on 64, I believe. There's 64, and then there's one where you play a mage.
Yep, and you can be a werewolf.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I think there was a third one. I never played the third. I think there was 2. Sometimes they get the ones on PS2 conflated. But I played through both of those on 64.
Yep.
And as a kid, I didn't think they were amazing, but you only had so many games. It was Castlevania's Gothic. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
When I go back and try to play them on emulator, they're god awful.
See, and I haven't gone back.
They're so bad.
I haven't done that. I haven't, and I'm afraid to be honest, because I still have really, really fond memories.
They're as bad as
game.
everyone says. It will ruin your memories.
Damn it.
I mean, they're not really that. Like, my memories are still fond because.
Sure.
But yeah, you're the first person that's brought up Castlevania.
Like that's the
on
first
64.
For me, that was the first time I fought a boss, and the boss did the transition into level 2 boss.
Yeah.
And then I think he transitions again,
to
right?
level 3.
Because he turns into the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Oof. And like that hallway where you had to carry so you had to get the Mandrake root and the TNT, I think, and combine them at a door to blow the door open, and you had to walk with the TNT, and there were fire things coming out of the
you're
wall.
kind of jogging my memory.
Yeah.
I do think I remember that.
I remember that was the most frustrating yet rewarding thing I've ever done in a game at that age, right? Because I'm like, I have to just quietly walk down this hall and not get hit by fire, and it was, I have really fond memories of Castlevania 64. Whether or not it's good. So
what else sticks out on 64?
Did you ever play Quest 64?
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. I don't know why, I just liked it as a kid. Mario 64, obviously, like that was like the first 3D Mario, right?
And
so
that blew everyone. That was a game changer when I saw it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was possible. I remember being really impressed with the opening screen where you could pull his face. You could like grab his nose and move his face.
It was such a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
Yeah. And like the jumping into paintings was a cool effect.
Yeah.
So I
and
like
the castle felt like a real castle with secrets and like hidden passageways.
Yeah, I really liked that. I'm trying to think of other 64 stuff too that we really played a lot. Star Fox 64.
That was a good one.
We played
the tank was cool.
Yeah, and so much past the controller, right? Like, and there was only one rumble pack. Only one person had a rumble pack, right? So whoever was the best got to keep the controller with the rumble pack. Yeah.
Did you guys do the 4v4 or the 4 dogfighting multiplayer? That was pretty fun.
Constantly, yeah. Smash Brothers, of course.
Do you play Smash a lot now?
I don't. I actually don't like it.
That's the one fighting game I actually spend more than casual time playing.
And I can see where people love it and get it, but it just does not work for my brain at all. It's
a completely different formula to
it's
traditional
totally
fighting
different.
games. Yeah.
And I there's a skill there, and I just don't know that I'll ever master the skill that exists there.
The people who are good at Smash, it's the same thing. I played a ton of Smash, not the 64 one. I have some friends that got really good at the 64. That was like their core group of friends. That's what they did. But I sold alarms door to door with a kid who was really good at Smash.
Was it Melee?
And so
for the
whole
cube?
What?
Were they playing Melee on the Cube, or were they?
It was the Wii version,
Okay,
whatever the Wii version is. So I know the Cube is considered like a lot of people like that's the best one especially for competition. But I got really good at the Wii one, and I went to a tournament at UVU, and me and my friend took the team battle. We won, but I did like pretty bad. I think I got like 6th or 7th. On just as where I ranked.
In single, yeah.
And and then I kind of watch people who play Smash. I follow that competitive scene just a little bit more. People seem to blog about that a lot. Like, I just run across Smash stuff more often, and it's the same thing. I watch people play, and I realize, dude, people have gotten so good at Smash, and that seems to be money in that too. There
is, and I would say that there's a big Smash pulls people. It's crazy. So. an example in Utah locally, like we used to do a lot of tournaments at the University of Utah. And so we would generally partner up with the Smash community, right? Like, hey, you're running an event, we're going to run fighting games, and we'd show up. And, there would be 25 to 30 entries for Street Fighter, and there's 150 people playing Smash.
So it's definitely, So,
like, I've definitely had the thought of, like, if I want to make some money locally as a competitive gamer, I should probably pick up Smash.
Do Smash.
Because I could probably, like, if there's 150 entrants at a tournament at $5 a pop, that means the prize pool is... That's $500 in a prize pool for a local. Like, that's... First place makes $200?
Yeah.
Damn, man, so I'm like, man, maybe I should like try to get decent at this game. But every time I pick it up, it's the same feeling. I'm just like, it just doesn't.
It's a whole new.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. Like when I play Street Fighter, it feels good, and so I think it's just a different preference, right?
So a little bit of Smash on 64.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything? If you got it a little bit late and you were a fan of Final Fantasy VI and a lot of like action RPGs that came out on the SNES. Weren't you looking at the PS1 going like, what's this Final Fantasy VII thing going on over here?
Oh, definitely. And that was what motivated me to buy it with my own money later on, right?
Okay.
So then I played 7, 8, 9. I bought a PlayStation 2 to play Final Fantasy X. Like those were definitely my jam.
So you got into what I consider probably the last of the glory days of Final Fantasy, which is 7, 8, 9. I think 10 and 12 and 11 are decent, but I think 7, 8, 6... 7, 8, and 9 to me is like the golden era of Final Fantasy.
I would agree. Yeah. And honestly, like I thought 15 was really good. Like I actually think 15 was a solid game.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
That's fair.
Oh, how?
There was a lot of good there. I liked the combat system.
The combat system is awesome.
I loved the open world. I loved that I could get lost just wandering and doing stuff. I have critiques, right? Like I felt like as soon as you board the train, the pacing of the game quadrupled. Like suddenly, like I feel
it was completely different.
Like you get on a train and suddenly you're at the end of the game, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Yes.
But I enjoyed 15 way more than I've enjoyed a modern Final Fantasy in a long time.
I had a really good friend, John Jimenez, on last night, and he's a huge Final Fantasy leader, and so it depends on how close did you follow the marketing and the hype when it was originally Final Fantasy Versus 13, Nova Chrysalis, and there was Final Fantasy Agito and Final Fantasy 13, and they were all supposed to come together. And then a lot of the pre-marketing stuff. So I'm going to probably butcher this. From what I remember reading about, the game's scope was completely different. It had this development hell cycle. They brought in a new director, and he kind of put some pieces together, took it a whole new direction, because now it's not part of the shared universe.
Right.
And there's an article that chronicles something, I believe, either on, what's it called? It's the video game forum, NeoGAF.
Okay.
Someone on NeoGAF posted something, and it was like an internal document about like what they were originally going for. And when I read that after beating 15, I went from like thinking it was okay to being sad because I could see like the remnants of what was really they were going for, and a lot of the things that I hated about 15, how the story felt like half baked and kind of like jumbled. I know they fleshed it out with episode Ignis and
see, and I didn't even play those.
And then
but I
heard episode Arden is really good.
Okay,
and when I actually went back and read about and understood what Arden's story was, I'm like, he's probably the coolest villain, maybe next to Sephiroth. But I didn't understand, like, this. I don't know how to explain. Maybe I'm dumb, but when I played it, I was really confused. There was, like, this world that was kind of fleshed out, but nothing made sense. Like, why is he marrying this girl? Why is that important? Like, what? Like,
I would agree that the story was shallow. And for me, I think it was more like the world exploration and the combat that kept me engaged and less of the story. Because, like, I mean, even at the ending, I was like, so I guess we're not in spoiler world anymore. The game's been out for years, but it's like, so are they both dead and they're together in death? Or are they just like super awesome king and queen that are being memorialized 150 years later? Like, I legit to this day, I'm like, I'm not sure if they died or not. I think they did, but there was some time travel, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Like, so that I'll give you. Like, I wasn't totally sold on the world.
But you like it.
But I enjoyed playing the game. But I'm also like, at this point in my life, I'm hella low-hanging fruit. Like, I barely pay attention to hype on games. I don't read a lot of the news. Yeah. Unless it's fighting games. So, like, if a game comes out, I'm like, that looks interesting, and I play it, it's almost like movies for me. Like, it has to meet a base demand for me to enjoy it.
And you're down with it.
And I'm good, because I love shitty movies. And I'm the first to like people like you have bad taste in movies. I'm like, yeah, probably.
What's your favorite like movie that's so shitty that it's good?
Oh man, it's a tough call. I really like Teeth. Have you seen that? Yeah,
I've
Vagina
seen
Dentata.
that.
I think that movie's pretty great. I mean,
And for those who know, Teeth is about a vagina that bites dicks off.
yeah, right. Yeah. This girl, she
it's
has a
an
rare
interesting
case of
movie.
vagina dentata. I'm trying to think what other like movies that I love that are like just shitty that I mean, the Mortal Kombat movies. I love those movies.
Did you watch the YouTube like kind of mini series?
did.
Those were pretty good.
Did you watch the Street Fighter one they just did too?
Is there a recent Street Fighter
Yeah,
one?
it's like 2 years old, 2.5.
Maybe I missed
It's called
that one.
Street Fighter something Fist.
I saw one that's like Chronicles Ryu and Ken.
That's
and
that's the one.
Akuma. Okay, yeah,
that's
I've
the
seen
one.
it.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's
love
pretty
that.
good.
Other movies I love that people hate.
Because we're talking about ninjas. There's a movie called Ninja Assassin.
Oh my god, that movie's so good.
That is so
When he's got
terrible.
the chain with the blade on the end. That movie's sick.
And it's like, it's so bad, but it's so good.
Yeah. Yep.
I loved. When I saw that movie in theaters. It was an empty movie theater. Me and my friend smoked a little weed, and we were howling, laughing.
Yeah.
Because there's an opening scene in that game. It's like this cheesy like yakuza, and they're like, guy's getting a tattoo, and he's making fun of an old man for being old, and he's telling this like the story of this like evil ninja or whatever, and then the guy's just like talking straight at the camera, and the sickle goes through him.
Yeah.
And then does that same effect you were talking about.
Yeah.
It like slices, and then it slides right off, and you can see his skull, his teeth, and his tongue, and the mouth's all like rendered. CG's kind of bad, but and I just from that point I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, I love like campy. Even if they don't know they're being campy, like there's a level for me to really. It has to be really awful for me not to dig it. So like, yeah, I loved Ninja Assassin.
But what? Yeah, if you could, the worst movie that's awesome for you.
Oh my god, you're asking me such hard questions. I mean, like, oh no, Evil Dead's not bad though. Evil Dead's amazing. God, I love Evil Dead. Worst movie? I guess Bill and Ted doesn't qualify either because it's like a cult classic.
Doesn't have to be a cult classic.
Oh my god, no. What am I thinking? The movie's called The FP.
What?
It's called The FP. It's an independent film.
Ooh, tell me.
It is. Okay, first of all, warning, it's not woke at all. There are white people saying things they should not be saying. But this movie was made a long time ago. It's so the whole premise of the movie is that you're in post-apocalyptic Denver and gangs fight for street territory by playing Beat Beat Revolution, which is just Dance Dance.
What?
It is fucking legit. The movie is so good. Like, it is so bad, it is good.
That's a really weird kind of, obviously campy on purpose.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, like, it's got so many good quotable lines. The acting is atrocious. The writing is god-awful. And you're just in tears the entire movie because it's so out
so
there.
bad.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah,
that sounds really
it's called
weird.
the FP. It stands for Fraser Park. And they all live in Fraser Park. and the whole premise is this dude, there's Beatro and Jatro. So Beatro is the older brother of Jatro, and they're the leader of, I think, the 815 gang. And so they're going to battle this other rival gang, and he tries to play on Omega Gangster mode. And they're battling, and he gets tired, and he dies while playing DDR. He gets 187'd. So Jatro leaves the gang to become a lumberjack. And then as years later, they come back to get him because Fraser Park has fallen into disrepair, and nobody can get liquor because the other gang owns Don's Liquor Mart, and so they won't give liquor to anyone they don't like. So he comes back to join the gang to beat the other gang.
So they can get booze.
So they can get booze and restore order to Fraser Park. It's just wonderful.
I like it.
It's the worst movie, and I love it. Yeah, that's the one. The FP. And the FP2 is supposed to be in production. So,
Dang, the FP. I'm going to remember that. Yep. So on 64, is there one more that sticks out? Because then we're going to go to PS1, and I'm sure we'll talk about Final Fantasies.
I'm trying to think. I think like PS4 or N64 is probably my least notable console. I mean, we played, obviously, GoldenEye 007.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Perfect Dark. I could never play the Donkey Kong game for it because I didn't have an expansion pack.
Yeah, but didn't it come with it if you bought it?
Yeah.
If you rented it, you didn't get it, I think.
Yeah, and it was like $30 more, and for whatever reason, as a kid, that made it outlandishly expensive for me, right? Like, I wasn't going to get that game. So I never played the DK. So I think those were really, I think GoldenEye, right? Like, everybody played GoldenEye into the ground, right? That game was legendary.
All right, so you get a PS1 for Final Fantasy VII.
So I bought it because of the RPGs. I couldn't afford a game when I bought it, so I played the demo disc for like 6 months.
I'm glad you brought that up. There was 2 demo discs. I had the same thing. When I got it initially, I got it for Christmas, and I got 1 game and the demo disc, which meant I played a lot of the demo disc.
Yep.
What game stuck out to you on the demo disc?
Crash Bandicoot. I played that first level of Crash Bandicoot like 100 times. So many times. And was it...
I think there's 2... Did your demo disc have Jumping Flash on it?
No,
Yeah,
I don't
so
think
we had a different demo disc.
It had Crash and it had Siphon Filter.
Yeah, that was the newer demo disc.
Yeah.
I had the launch demo disc had Battle Arena Toshiden.
Okay,
the first one, which was the first game I saw. I saw it running at Blockbuster. I didn't.
Yeah.
I had a Genesis, and I think I started getting EGM or something before EGM. My parents would let me go to the gas station and get a magazine.
Yeah.
I knew there was something coming, but I didn't know it was out. And I saw Battle Arena Toshiden. And I just told my parents, I need to get this. And at launch, they were way too much money. $600?
Yeah.
No, you ain't getting shit.
Yeah.
But I ended up, I think, getting it a year later. At the price had dropped the next Christmas time. And the demo disc had Jumping Flash, Battle Arena Toshiden, like a tech demo where there was a well floating, but you could move the camera around, and it had really cool background music. And then later, that demo disc came out, and I remember a friend had it, and I was thinking, this demo disc is way better, because the Siphon Filter, which was a huge game back then.
Siphon Filter was huge, yeah.
Crash Bandicoot, what else was on that disc?
Man, that whale demo. There's amazing articles about that whale demo. You should go read.
Which game?
The whale demo that you talk about?
Yeah.
The floating one?
Yeah,
that demo, they did a similar demo for PS2. It was the rubber duck floating.
Oh,
and
yes.
There's I can't remember if it was Kotaku or Gama Sutra, but they're the engineers wrote this thing talking about how they were up till 4:00 in the morning the night before they were supposed to ship, making sure that this floating duck demo worked for E3. And then the game got canceled. It never shipped. They just made this tech demo that they were up all night working on. I only remember Siphon Filter and Crash. What the hell else was on that thing? There had to have been other. I mean, there's 6 games.
There was more.
Yeah,
but
those are the ones I remember.
What was the first game you got? Was it 7?
No, so I borrowed Star Ocean from a buddy and played.
You're the first one to bring that game up.
Yeah, I'm getting firsts. Yeah,
that game is
Star Ocean was sick.
That's a core RPG. That's a lot of people played 7. 7 got people into RPGs that weren't into RPGs. A lot of RPG nerds like myself were waiting anxiously. I had it pre-ordered. But Star Ocean, I don't remember if I played it after, but that game, the crafting and the food system was so deep and confusing. The story was really, it had a lot of symbolism and sort of themes that were kind of over my head.
Yeah,
but I could tell that it was not just, I could tell it was they were going over my head.
Yeah.
And it gave me this sense of mystery of what are they trying to say? That game, what do you remember about that game?
I just remember being in space, and it was my first exposure to cyberpunk type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where they're rocking swords, but they've got big fucking moon boots on, and there's a spaceship for some reason. That's all I can remember about that game, and the main character. But I feel when I think of Star Ocean, even though I played the the PlayStation one first, my brain always jumps to the PS2 one for some reason.
Okay.
But that's all I remember.
I didn't like that one, but
yeah, I don't know that Star Ocean's been very good in the last.
They kind of blow.
While.
But
they lost their way. But anyway.
So you got Star Ocean first.
So I borrowed Star Ocean first.
Oh, you borrowed it?
Yeah, I borrowed it from a buddy. I think.
Do you remember if you beat it?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I didn't beat it. So what else did we buy? We bought Star Ocean. We borrowed that, and then I ended up buying. I think I bought Final Fantasy VIII. It was the first one I bought.
Oh, so 7 had already come out.
Yeah, we had played because I got my first PlayStation was a slim PS1, so I was.
So it had been out for a little bit. Yeah.
But so I borrowed 7 from a friend because they always had all the new games, so I would just borrow them.
So you played 7 before 8.
No, I played 8 first.
You played 8 first.
And then I went back and played 7.
Okay, so out of those two, cause everyone brings these up if they have a PS1. What sticks out to most? What's this loudest moment of 8 that sticks out to you?
I can't remember. I should remember because I played it again 2 years ago. But it's when the gardens are moving,
Yes.
And you crash the garden, and it comes like screaming across the water.
And then you have to run across in the background.
Yeah.
They mix the FMV with the model.
Yeah.
And everyone's fighting in the background. And
Yeah, it was so like
blew your mind.
Yeah, and so for me, when people are like Final Fantasy VII's the best, I actually think 8's better because
Woohoo!
it looked better as a kid, right?
Yes.
Like, and I was like, I could never get a read on like the age Cloud was playing 7 because his model changed depending on the scene.
Yes.
And 8 to me was like, this game is crisp. It is beautiful. The cutscenes are gorgeous. I thought that Evil Empress was just wonderful.
Yes.
The fact that she was Sid's wife was incredible. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that game. Yeah, I love 8.
That
8
game was awesome.
dope.
You brought up a lot of things that I've said on a couple episodes already, is that for me, I thought the art, visually, 8 was cooler because the models were the same in the world map as in the battle.
Yeah.
Whereas 7, battle, like world map, you were like these chibi characters, like blocky, and in the battles, it's like, hey, you look cool on the battle screen. Why can't you look cool on the world map? And
I'm sure it was like had to do with like saving space for disc but still like
I'm sure it's technical stuff. But yeah, I also think 8 is better than 7, and I get a lot of shit for that, which I'm sure you get shit for too when you bring it up. Now, that being said, I didn't love 8 the first time I played it.
Agreed.
Because I didn't the junctioning system with drawing spells and attaching them to stats, I didn't quite get it, and I got pretty far into the game to the point where you get the Ragnarok, the red ship.
Yep.
And I hadn't drawn spells, and I think it also affects what you get when you level up based on what you have junctioned.
The monsters you fight don't level up. They level up based on your character's levels.
Yes.
So, like, if you were grinding, which I was used to doing, it just made the game way fucking hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to the point, what happened, I couldn't beat anything.
Yeah.
Even though I was at a high level, I'm like, the game's broken. Like, I cannot beat this boss, and I've grinded. I can't get any more levels up. I have the best everything, and I'm stuck. But then I went back and played it in high school, and I'm like, oh, this is better than 7.
Yeah.
Once I figured it out, and I was a little bit older, I thought the story in some ways was better. I hated, though, I did hate, I don't know if you remember this in the story, they're setting up this thing with the sorceress chick who's actually being controlled by a sorceress from the future, time travel.
Yeah.
And all of the party members actually were in an orphanage together when they were kids,
Yeah,
but they somehow all forgot.
That was weird as
pissed
hell.
me off.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
other than that, it was awesome.
Yeah, and I would agree too on the thing that clicked for me was when I realized that you just had to max out all your GFs and have every GF.
And you had to have 99 of the spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the game became playable, but like they should have. And I feel like also as a kid I just mashed through all the tutorials that probably taught me that, and I was like, nah, I just want gameplay, right? Like some story. But yeah, dude, 8.
So you played 8 first,
9,
and then 7. You played 7 second.
I think so, yeah, and then 9.
What sticks out to you about 7?
Couple things. The rocket ship thing, where like you go to that little town and there's like the rockets.
Yes, and Sid.
Yeah. Like that. Eris' death, obviously, like that's a huge scene.
Yeah.
I really liked that weird scene or like weird level where you're in like the amusement park.
Golden Saucer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the strangest. Like it had. I don't feel like it really did anything for the story, but it was just really dope and really fun to go.
You could snowboard. You could chocobo race. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Golden Saucer. Those are probably the 3 things that I really dug. Oh yeah, and then it was 8 that you had the weird Biggs and Wedge stories, right? Where you'd go back and like you would play as
Laguna.
Yeah, as Laguna.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that wasn't a 7 thing. Pretty much that. 7. I don't know, man.
A lot of people. That's a massive moment.
Yeah.
Massive moment and it was for me because I got it launch, and I had it pre-ordered. I remember my parents didn't want to take me to go get it from GameStop or I think it was Babbage's at the time.
Yeah.
On the day, and I begged them, and I broke down to tears. And I was like, I had this pre-order. I've been waiting so long, and then I had the. I think I mentioned this on another podcast, but I was raised like really, really hardcore Mormon.
Yeah, same.
And I had scratches on my disc. And I remember there's a point in that game where I think the airship lands on the big cannon city that has the cannon.
Yeah.
There's a certain cutscene that I couldn't get past. I was stuck. And I remember praying to God. I'm like a little kid, maybe like 10, 11, I don't know, 13 maybe. It's like, I'll do anything. I'll be super Mormon. I won't masturbate. Like, I just need to just make it work. Needless to say, my prayers were never answered.
Yeah, nope.
I had to go buy another version of the game to get past it. So I ended up buying that game twice.
Damn.
to actually beat it. Scratch disc was a problem.
Dude, that was hell.
That was you could get fucked city'd over. Like, and you would try they had like disc cleaners. I would try everything and nothing. If it was bad enough, you were screwed.
And those disc cleaners, more often than not, just fucked your disc up more.
Might even make it worse sometimes.
Yeah, that was awful. Yeah, 7 was a game, but like 8, 9. Oh.
What do you remember about 9? Because 9 doesn't get as much love as I think it should.
I love Vivi as a character.
Yes.
That Black Mage is my boy.
And one of the most sort of human, sad character arcs.
And like the whole thing, how he's like, you see the Black Mages that are being manufactured that are like...
It's like, what am I? And it felt like that is what it's like to be a human. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You had these moments like, what the fuck is reality? What am I doing? And he's going through that same... That same arc, yeah.
So I liked him. I liked Garnet a lot. I loved Steiner. I thought he was the most hilarious, like Boy Scout dummy motherfucker.
Kind of dumb. Almost like it was almost like they were making fun of dumb Americans in a way, like a Homer Simpson type loyal, but he's just a dumb idiot.
And he just followed rules because he was told they were rules. He didn't put much thought into it.
Never thought for himself.
Yeah. So I liked him. What is her name? I think she's from 9. She's got the spear.
The dragoon
Frida?
chick.
Is it Frida?
Frida,
yeah. I
Freya,
her.
maybe?
Freya, it's Freya.
Freya,
right.
yeah.
I liked her. I loved the character diversity. I thought the worlds were pretty. I just remember loving that game. And even though, again, I went back and played this again 2 years ago, story makes fuck all sense. Like the final boss is like just some entity that's just really pissed off or something, and I was like, I
do remember like Zidane sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and then he's actually alive and he comes back, and I remember, or maybe I'm thinking of 10. No, it's 9.
No, because 10 is the one where he just vanishes,
he disappears
and it
because
was just,
he's not real. He's like a memory or some shit.
Yeah, and then and then you try to play 10 too, and I'm like, nah, fuck this game. Yeah. Dude, 10 2.
So 9. All right. Now let's go into. Did you play a lot of other JRPGs on PS1?
Aside from Xenogears, we played Xenogears.
Xenogears. That's another one I was hoping you'd bring up because, like you said, with Final Fantasy 15, once you get on the train, the 4th disc of Xenogears is like, and among cult people who love Xenogears, it's like it goes from this arguably, I think, my favorite JRPG, the second favorite JRPG on PS1, to it's just texts and cutscenes, and then bosses, and then the game ends. Like, there's no gameplay.
Yeah.
But the story and the scope of... I don't know how much have you played it recently?
No, it's been years. I played it... I mean, I would have been 10, 11 years old, probably, maybe. Yeah.
The concepts of that game are kind of highbrow sci-fi concepts you still see being played out in Hollywood movies today. But from what I remember, there's a seed ship. Humans go to seed another planet. The ship crashes and there's an AI, and it crashes on the wrong planet, and it goes wrong. It's kind of like if you play Horizon, the idea they reseed the planet they're reseeding this new planet. I think and then they build an ancient civilization, and you're basically fighting against this AI that's God. It's controlling everything, but it was programmed to control everything to prevent another disaster. We're gonna go see it. We'll never let you basically get to the point where you can destroy your new planet.
Gotcha.
And it's the idea of how much control is good and how much freedom should we have. And as a kid, that really blew my mind to try to wrap my head around some of those ideas. And the gameplay is awesome. You fight giant mechs against giant mechs. I mean, what else? And it had a really the characters were 2D, but you had a 3D isometric plane, and you could rotate the camera. Which was cool. Breath of Fire 3 and 4 did the same thing.
Oh my god, I love Breath of Fire 3 and 4. And we should mention them on SNES and NES. Breath of Fire. You
did play Breath of Fire.
I did.
So you did some JRPGs besides 6 on the SNES.
Yeah, no, I definitely played Breath of Fire.
They're good.
A bunch. And 3 I didn't play on PS1. I played it, and 4. I played them emulated on my Vita. Or not my Vita, my PSP years ago.
They're both really good. What I loved about 3 was kind of a similar concept. The story was really epic, and I remember you crossed the ocean, and you get to there's a part where you have to cross this desert, and it's like a puzzle, this huge desert. You have to camp and find water,
and you have to north left,
right, and then you get to this ancient civilization that has dead.
Yep.
And the whole game is kind of Dark Ages. There's no technology. And then you get to another part of the world wait. this is all high tech robots.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's going on? This world has deep history. And then you fight this, and then you find out your friend, the kid with the purple hair, is actually also a dragon, and he's there, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
I remember that just being, and then I loved Ray, your buddy with the hair, and he had the two knives that he held backwards.
Yeah.
I thought his animations, I thought he was so cool. Yep. Yeah, and then what was cool about 4, you would go back, you'd play as the main antagonist.
Yeah, that big dragon dude.
And you go back and forth.
Yeah.
Man, those are good games.
Those are super solid. If they came out with Breath of Fire 5, I would lose my mind. I love those games.
They did a Breath of Fire on PS2 that people talk about. It's like Dragon Quartet or Dungeon Quartet.
Okay.
And it has like I never played it, and it has like it seems like roguelite elements or there's levels and they're randomly generated and you have to beat the game multiple times to get the story. So some people say it's really good. I've never tried it.
I'll have to look at it and see if I can emulate it.
What else stands out to you on PS1? Because PS1 is a big library.
There's so much stuff, and I feel like as a kid, my budget was not big enough to buy a ton of the library, so I feel like there's a lot I missed until later years, right? Like, I didn't play Symphony of the Night until 10 years ago.
Okay, we'll just talk about PS1. No matter when you played
it. Okay.
What sticks out to you?
So, I mean, Symphony of the Night, right? Like, that game, I love that game. Like, that is the Metroidvania, right? That game defines a Castlevania game. Like, that, I mean, the old ones were dope, but that one was the first time that, like, Igarashi really just, like, went ham, I think.
We're going to do this. This is a new formula.
Yeah.
What, give me, since I love this game.
Yeah.
It's probably in my top 5 of games of all time. What are 3 moments that stand out to you in that game?
Okay, there's the scene in the piano room, I think or the confessional.
Yes. With the ghost?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
That was kind of creepy. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I like that scene. I feel like, and I could be imparting this, but it's been a minute since I played it, but there's a whole, like, you learn a bunch about your mother in that game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
there's a flashback dream sequence.
Yeah.
And you find out he's half human, half Dracula, and a mother, and...
Yes, I loved that. And then I would say the only other thing I really dug is, like, the first time that I realized you have to fight him with the glasses on.
Yes.
And you get the upside down castle.
Yep, that's a huge...
Yeah, just, like, as a kid to realize, like, no, there's an entire other game
I'm
here.
halfway.
I'm
not
sick.
done.
Yeah,
I'm halfway.
That's so dope. So that was probably my 3. Yeah.
What else sticks out? Just for PS1 in general.
I'm trying to think. Like, we didn't play a lot of Siphon Filter, even though it was, like, super popular. I didn't play Metal Gear.
Did you do Metal Gear 1 on PS1 first, or did you play Metal Gear 2 on PS2 and go back and play Metal Gear 1?
I've never finished a Metal Gear game. I actually don't like Metal Gear, like, at all. I tried to go back and play Metal Gear 2 when they released the collection on PS3, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, nah, this game sucks. And,
That's interesting, so you didn't really get into that.
I don't like Metal Gear. I've heard I need to play Revengeance. I've heard Revengeance is actually super sick as, like, a hack and slash.
It's a different formula. Yeah, it's a completely different formula.
But I love hack and slash.
If you like Devil May Cry, you'll like Revengeance.
Devil May Cry is my jam. PS1. Obviously, the honestly, like, I feel like all I played on PS1 was Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and the remake of 6 they released on it in the anthology.
Yeah.
A little bit of Star Ocean. Lunar
Hearts or Lunar?
Yeah.
There's something. Lunar Story.
Lunar Story.
Lunar Story.
Silver Star Story.
Silver Star Story.
Lunar Legends. Silver Star Story.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So played that as a kid, a preteen. I think that's, like, pretty much my PS1 experience. Like,
interesting, because that for me, I thought we do have some PS1 overlap, but for me that was like the console I played. I mean, I have my PS1 collection because I was old enough. I started working at 13.
Okay, see, and I didn't start.
And I had some spending money.
Yeah,
and that's all I spent on. Cause obviously, there's nothing else. All my money would just go straight to video games. And I had like 200 something games on my collection. I ended up selling it all, which was a dumb idea. Yeah, I really regret it, but. So PS1 wasn't that big. Did you had been playing a lot of games. Were you identifying as a gamer at this time?
I think so. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I ever looked at myself like, oh yeah, I am a gamer, right? But, like, I knew I loved video games.
You're into games more than
a lot of your
almost
peers. Anything else. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I played really, because, like, I played Tekken Tag, I guess. But, like,
was that on PS1? I think it's PS2.
It was Tekken Tag PS2? Okay.
There might be a PS1, but there is Tekken Tag on PS2. For sure.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that...
Oh, did you play Wipeout on PS1? The hover racing game?
No, I played Wave Race though on 64.
That was a good one. The
Wave
water
Race was dope.
tech
Yeah,
on
it was
that. When
sick.
I remember seeing the water in that game, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Like, I didn't play Wipeout. I feel like the PlayStation 1 era is kind of where I thought I was super, super into gaming, and it kind of declined off. And then I came back. I really think that's where that kind of declined, because, like, I didn't buy a PS2 until years later, and then, like, really jumped hardcore back into gaming in the Xbox era.
So, okay, so you have this break.
Yeah, definitely.
And then PS2 gets you to come. What got you to come back
So
on
I
the
bought
PS2?
I bought a used PS2 from somebody and Final Fantasy X just to play Final Fantasy.
Oh, so a Final Fantasy got you back.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X, and that was like the only real game I played on PS2 for a while. And then I played the 3D Castlevania, Lament of Innocence, I think it was called.
Yes, that one's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I liked Lament.
I liked it.
So I played that, and I don't know if I even ever finished it. I just remember playing it, and then just kind of died a little bit on the PS2 stuff. And like,
So you had a break,
Yeah.
came back for PS2, then had a break again.
Yeah, and I didn't really get like back into gaming like I am now until I was probably 20, 19, between 18 and 20.
Okay. So on Final Fantasy X, what sticks out to you?
Did
you love it,
That
or was-
opening cutscene blew
Okay.
my mind. Like, it blew
Yeah.
my fucking mind.
The CG was
It was insane.
another jump that
Yeah.
was just...
Otherwise, I loved, like, so I actually finished it for the first time about 2 years ago when they released the collection, the remaster.
Yeah.
And I loved, like, their take on religion, right? How, like, I really enjoyed that, like, Waka was from this kind of, like, weird religious sect.
Yeah.
And I really liked, is it Lulu?
The black mage chick?
Yeah, with her little doll. Like, she was, like, super devout, yet hella gothic. I don't know. I kind of dug that.
Yeah.
But overall, that game was okay. It was good. It wasn't amazing, but it was good.
Did you do 11 or 12 on PS2?
So I didn't play 11 on PS2. I played a little bit of 11 on PC. 12, I remember, because I was working at Gamestop when 12 came out. So I remember...
Oh, you worked at GameStop.
for
So did
like
I.
6 years, yeah.
Is that how we met?
I don't know, maybe.
Did I work at your GameStop? Now my mind is like, how did I meet you? It had to have been through GameStop.
Because we went to college
'Cause we're
together.
the same age.
We had classes together, though, right? In school, didn't we?
We did have classes in school, but what GameStop did you work at?
So I started in American Fork. And then, well, no, I started in like West Jordan. Then I got promoted to American Fork. Then I was in Provo Town Center Mall. And then I was in University Mall.
I was in university. I worked there for, I want to say a year, because I remember 2 Christmas seasons. So just a little over a year.
So I was there.
There was a big, tall guy named Josh that worked at university.
Yep.
And then kind of like an emo kid, Zach.
Zach, yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we must
I
have worked
think we
together.
met-
Yeah, we worked together at GameStop. Then.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
But you were also in school, too.
Yeah,
So
yep.
I was getting those two conflated.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
GameStop that's an interesting place to work at.
It's a thing. Yeah, it changed a lot of the way I looked at video games.
Yeah.
Like, I learned a lot there, but man, that company, wow.
How are they still alive?
I don't know. Like, I'm shocked that they're still in business. Like, their model is outdated, and their stores are still just terrifying. Like, I get anxiety going into a GameStop. Like, legit, I start sweating bullets when I walk in. I live in West Valley now. There's literally one 2 minutes away from my house. Like, it's next to the coffee shop that I frequent. And
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't go in there.
I have to, like, really be jonesing to look at a video game
Yeah.
to walk in that store.
If you were CEO of GameStop, what would you do? Or would you just try to dissolve it and cut your losses and move on?
I don't know that I'd dissolve it, but I would make it a culture shift, right? I would stop focusing on pre-orders and I know they maybe don't focus on it as hard, but like I would stop focusing on driving certain numbers, and I would turn it into a culture spot, right? Like
This is a place gamers can come.
and be.
They'll spend money if they like it here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like, make it feel like a place that they belong and a place they should be. Because when I walk into it, like the couple of times I've walked into a GameStop in the last year, maybe 4 times, as somebody who is, an adult with excess spending money, and I spend a considerable amount of money on gaming accessories and hardware.
Well, I don't even want to talk about that.
Right, but you do, and you have the money to spend on it, right?
Yeah.
It's part of your budget. When I go in there, I feel like I don't belong there, and that I am not a part of whatever culture it is they have there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because the culture that GameStop has now is the same culture it was 15 years ago. And that's just not what gaming is anymore, right? Like,
Gaming's
gaming
changed,
It's
yeah.
everybody. Like, my mom's a gamer at this point. She plays mobile games. Everyone is gaming. And I feel like GameStop is still like, how do I say this without being an asshole? Like, I feel like gaming is still the stereotype, right? You've got the dude with like the goatee and the ponytail.
Yeah.
And then the little anime girl behind the counter. And it kind of smells weird. And they look at you like you have to prove to them to be there to shop. And it's like, bruh, like you need to be selling.
Yeah.
So there's just a culture problem there that needs to be fixed. And I don't know that it needs to turn into like an esports zone, but it needs to turn into a community engagement center. Like, have you been to a Microsoft store?
It's pretty cool.
It's
I mean,
dope.
it's like an Apple store, a little looser, maybe.
Yeah, and they have like games up on the consoles.
Yeah,
but, like,
they let you play the Oculus. I went
Right.
to one and they let me play it. Like, it was an Apple store, but it was clean like Apple.
Right.
And it's like white and similar lighting and layout, but it was also less uppity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's like GameStop should move to that. Like, it shouldn't be like walking into a Barnes and Noble. There shouldn't be walls of game cases with stickers on them and
Yeah.
people trading shit in. Like, you should be rolling into an experience of like, hey, have you seen the new Xbox? Do you compete? Are you competitive? Do you want high-end gaming headsets? Like, that's where the margins are. And I feel like they're just missing the boat. And maybe the age of this type of brick and mortar is just dead, but
That could be.
it just needs to be an experience, like a good, solid experience. Like, case in point, I walked in there when Devil May Cry 5 came out. I was like, I'm going to buy this game. I didn't pre-order it. I walk in, and this was legit the conversation. I walk in, and the two employees are just talking to each other, not looking at me, not paying attention. I do a loop around the store, don't see DMC on the shelf, walk up to the counter, and they both did, like, the slow horror movie turnaround,
Right.
where it's like, they're right behind me, aren't they, right? And I'm like, hey, do you guys have Devil May Cry? And they were like, did you pre-order it? No. Nah, man, we're out. All right, bye. That was literally like a 6-second engagement.
You're not going back. Yeah, yeah.
No, like, and all you could have said is like, "Hey, man, we sold out," but like, just like the tone, the look, like it was
They
just
were
like,
annoyed with you.
yeah, and it was like, bro, like that's not like I'm the target market. Like I'm the guy with money to spend.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that's gonna go, you know what? I'm sitting at the office, I'm just gonna Amazon this thing and have it at my house in 2 days. Like I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah,
So-
the only reason besides the community aspect, if they did have that you go to GameStop is you don't want to wait. You want it now.
Yep.
It's a convenience thing.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're just going to order it online or get it digital and download it.
And honestly, like almost all my purchases at this point are digital. So
Yeah.
like why wouldn't I?
So you get back into
Yeah.
gaming when you start working at GameStop.
Yeah, and I was still like on the fence, right? Like I was playing stuff because you could check out games, right? So I would take them home and play them.
Is there anything on PS2 because the PS2 has a really strong library too?
Katamari Damacy.
Okay.
That game is like will always be a part of me because it was so weird and it was so fun.
Just like a ball of garbage that gets bigger?
Yeah. And with a crazy like acid jazz soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like it was dope. That game, obviously Final Fantasy X, Lament of Innocence. What else did I play on PS2? I feel like there's a whole bunch of PS2 games. Kingdom Hearts.
That's a big one. Did you like the new Kingdom Hearts?
I didn't buy it. Didn't play it.
I pre-ordered it, bought it. I made it about an hour and a half in and was like,
I've heard.
I was the first time I really felt almost not betrayed because I should have just expected it.
Yeah.
It's a 2000 whatever whenever Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, which
Yeah.
is 2009, 8, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Maybe even earlier. It's just like a mid 2000s game with a fresh coat of paint.
Yep. I can see that.
And the voice acting and the writing. I don't know if Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 was that bad. I was just younger.
Yeah.
But the writing on the new Kingdom Hearts is like, I felt, you talked about anxiety going to game. I felt anxiety listening to this writing. Like, I can't.
Yep.
Who is the person who greenlit this?
Yeah,
Like, and how do
exactly.
they still have a job?
Yeah.
It's so bad. And like, these are Pixar characters. And Pixar has a very strong brand.
Oh,
and really, like,
their writing is
how
so
did
good.
they let this
Yeah.
happen? It's bad. Don't get it.
'Kay, I
But
won't.
I do have good memories of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2.
Yeah. I started playing a lot of horror games then too. So like Siren. Did you ever play Ghost Hunters?
Yeah, that's the first. You're the first one to bring up both those games.
I played those. I feel like there was a Silent Hill on PS2.
There is a Silent Hill on PS2. It's a lot of people consider the best Silent Hill,
I remember playing that.
but nothing really seems to stand out as like a big moment for you.
War of the Monsters. Did you ever play War of the Monsters? Like it was just a shitty game where you were 4 monsters crushing a city and fighting. Like I didn't really like. until Halo on Xbox, like I really didn't start diving back in and like diving after
So Halo's
games.
the one that brought you back into the fold.
Halo 1, yep. The first time I played Halo 1 4-player in a LAN party, or like 8-player LAN party or whatever, I was in. Like I was back. I bought Xbox Live. I bought a console. I got 4 controllers. Like I was.
Okay, so it got you all in.
Yep.
This is also a really common one. So give me like a strong moment for you in the single player campaign and your best, because everyone's played Halo.
Yeah.
Like your craziest, funniest LAN party story. Someone got in a fight. Someone broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we never really like our LAN parties were pretty chill. I would say online, like landing the noob combo on people, right? Like, and just getting screamed at in chat. Like, I do have one. I can't. This might have been Halo 2.
That's fine.
But we were just crushing this team, and this kid was just like talking shit. And my buddy was like, dude, fuck you, kid. And his dad got on the mic and started yelling at him. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And my buddy was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're yelling at us over Xbox Live at 1 o'clock in the morning and your kid's still playing video games? You're a bad father. And that was like the close. It was wild. Like I was like, whoa.
He just dunked on him.
Yeah, just went in. So that's probably my best Halo memory. Story-wise, I don't remember that story being that
So it was
memorable.
the multiplayer.
Yeah,
that
it was
got
definitely
you.
the multiplayer. Like, I played the single player, but the multiplayer was where we put hundreds of
So
of
Halo
hours.
gets you back in. Do you start? So you mentioned earlier you're sick of shooters. I think before we started recording or not.
Yeah. I've kind of left shooters.
But you went through a shooter phase. Was it more shooters at that point, or what did you play when you got back in?
Halo, definitely jumped on Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, but then Fable came out.
Yes, good
and I
one.
played Fable, Jade Empire.
First one.
yeah.
So a couple people have mentioned Fable, which we'll talk about, but you're the first person to bring up Jade Empire, which was
It was like,
BioWare.
Yeah, it was after
Knights
KOTOR, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an after KOTOR, and I remember there's a lot of hype. At this point, I definitely had an EGM monthly subscription.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I remember the pre-hype for that game was big.
Yep.
Because it was like I didn't love Star Wars, and shoot me, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan.
Either. It's all right.
But I liked BioWare, and I still like. I like now. Oh, these Western RPGs are kind of more adult. They have deeper systems. I was moving out. After 10 and 12. I don't really have any fond JRPG memories. The formula didn't work for me anymore.
Right, and I think like the gaming industry kind of took a bit of a shift, right? Like Xbox hit the scene, the American game industry started
really because Japanese were king forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Like I think that's one reason why I was so into like all the shooters. So like that, I loved Fable.
Did you follow the pre-hype for Fable, or did you just end up playing it?
I did, and I pre-sold the shit out of that game. I was
I'm actually glad.
Yeah,
I want to see if my memory is accurate, because I think you would have a closer as you were working at GameStop and pre-selling it. I remember Peter or whatever Monulux or whatever his name is, saying like this is going to be because there was open world games. Like GTA had come out, but this was going to be open world like nothing before, detailed. I remember him saying something like you could plant a tree as a child, and that tree would be there as an adult, and like the world would follow based on your actions, and it built it up to being just. And it was, I admit, it was probably one of the deeper open world kind of hub area games for its time.
But it did not.
Live up to the hype at all, and I was a little disappointed. But it was also a fun game. I brought this up on another podcast. I remember, like, you could do the flirting mechanic, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember like it was the first time I got into trying to like push a game's systems to see when they would break. And so I would like marry somebody, or I would like kill the husband. And then I would get attacked by guards or whatever. I would leave and like, well, if I get the guards to reset, can I go back and try to flirt with that girl? Will she remember that I killed her husband? And can I marry her? And you could. Like it would just kind of reset the system, and it would work, and then I would like kill her. And you could have to like. I think it was the first game I remember having light and dark path.
Yeah.
And I beat it. I think I beat it first as the good person, and then my inner rebellion, because I still wanted to rebel from being Mormon, and maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going full darkness, and I would like decimate the whole town. Can you kill every person in the game? I tried to kill every person in the game.
Yeah.
You can't do it. There's NPCs and things you can't actually kill, but you can kill a lot of people in the game, and they end up, I believe, respawning. So it was. What do you remember the pre-hype of that game? Do you remember the tree thing?
I remember the tree thing. I also remember like him talking about like burying stuff, coming back later and getting it.
Yeah.
It just being like this persistent beautiful world. And I think that like in his mind he could eventually build that, but I mean the tech clearly wasn't ready. Like
And he had budget time constraints.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you look at what we have now, like, even now, games that are persistent world have limitations, right? And we've kind of accepted those as gamers. But, yeah, I remember so much hype and the game still being great, but not being...
What sticks out to you to that game? What memory?
The quest where you had to do... Like, they had those, like, challenge quests.
Okay.
And, like, to, like, finish... Like, one of them was, like, get through a level without taking damage, or get through this mission with only punching.
Yeah.
Like, that shit was wild.
That was fun.
To me. Like, as a kid, I was like, I don't... This is crazy. This is fucking crazy. I thought the voice acting was actually pretty fun, too. Like,
I think it was decent for the time.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, I just remember, like, the villains kind of being, like, voice actors, pretty good. Like, good voice acting. It was beautiful. It was a pretty game.
It was a good-looking game.
Really pretty.
I remember the lighting through the trees, the like leaves on the armor. It was the first time I had seen tree lighting that looked that good.
Yeah, like in some decent like specular.
Yeah, Xbox had great lighting for the time. What was it? Splinter Cell.
Yeah, yep.
When that game came out, I was like, "This can't be real. I've never seen lighting like this."
Yep, Splinter Cell.
So
was
what
super dope.
you got into? So you did the shooter, but you did play Fable as RPG. Was there other shooters? What were you playing mainly?
Halo 2, Halo 3.
Halo.
Like so much Halo. Like I think I have kind of a one-track mind, and like if I wanted to play a story, because I think at that time the DS had come out as well, so that's why I was playing like all the ports, right? Like they were porting all these Final Fantasy games onto the DS. So I was going back and playing those.
So it seems like you have kind of one main game, then you'll dabble.
Pretty much, yeah. And I mean, for the last 10 years, it's been, almost 10 years, it's been Street Fighter. So.
When did you start playing Street Fighter?
Street Fighter, Xbox 360, Street Fighter 4.
So that got you back into Street Fighter.
Yep, that's what pulled me back into fighting games. And when I really started thinking about it as like a competitive thing and not as just like I think doing combos is cool thing. So,
what else on Xbox stands out?
Halo, Forza.
Forza?
I don't like racing games, but I just always thought Forza was beautiful. So I would love to. I would do the races just to like see everything. I didn't like Grand Theft Auto, but the hot coffee mod sticks out in my mind because I was working in retail for that. Right?
So that was coming up. It was on the news.
Yeah, and like we stopped taking trade-ins of the game. You had to know which version was hot coffee, which version wasn't.
Oh, wow.
I remember buying a version of the hot coffee mod to throw in my drawer at home so that like if it ever became a thing, I would have it. I don't know if I might still have the disc at home somewhere.
It might actually be a thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a gaming history sort of big, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and it was like you had to get, and I think it was still...
For those who don't know what it is,
good idea,
the hot coffee mod, let me get this right, was a glitch on an older version of the game, something to do with coffee where you could unlock nudity in a sex scene, right?
You could have like a full nude sex scene with a woman and it was while they were drinking coffee, and it was like you had to do like a very specific quest path or something
break the game.
That would break it. Yeah. And they had taken the code out, right? Or they had like broken the link to the code, but this glitch would get you back to where.
Yeah.
And it was a big fucking deal.
It was a big deal. Grand Theft Auto was on the news quite a bit, and I remember, again, my parents were like really, really strict and religious.
Yeah.
And they saw something on the news. Do you remember this? There must have been a news cycle when they talked about the ability to have sex with the hooker, get life back, and then kill her and take her money. And my parents saw that on the news and came down, and I was playing the game.
Yeah.
And I was careful not to do stuff that I knew they wouldn't approve of. Because my dad would come down and watch me play games. It's like I wouldn't trigger a cutscene because I know that there's going to be swear words.
Yep.
So I would just like mindlessly drive around and do stuff. Hey, this is a cool game, Dad.
I love driving.
But he came down and was watching. He's like, I know about this game. You can't. I know about this game. And my defense was, but you don't have to. You don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah, it's a choice.
It's a sandbox. It's a choice. I don't choose. I choose the right, Dad. I choose the right. He didn't take it away. It appeased him temporarily.
But I feel like Grand Theft Auto pushed so many things. Like, so this is a fighting game reference again, but like Daigo Umehara has been quoted recently as saying, "If we don't push boundaries, nobody will know where to set the boundaries," right? And I feel like it's the same way with games like Grand Theft Auto. That's really when the ESRB became something like serious, and people.
That's what I wanted to bring up. Do you remember when that came out? Because my earliest ESRB memory was I couldn't play Streets of Rage 3.
Yeah.
Because I had Streets of Rage 1 and 2, and then by the time 3 came out, it was teen. But it didn't really. My parents did it, but it seems like it wasn't big until.
like
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and that's when it really started becoming like, oh, your kid is under 17. I can't sell them this.
I can't sell it. They enacted the policies.
And GameStop, I think, was a big driver of that because they kind of made that like it wasn't a law, right? They just made it like their company policy. And then suddenly, like Best Buy was doing it, and Media Play was doing it, and like all.
Did Toys R Us do it?
I think so.
I think they probably did.
So like, I think that was kind of the thing. Like the retailers almost kind of like got in with the ESRB and started pushing it. But I feel like it was before the hot coffee mod though, because I remember IDing people to buy Grand Theft Auto before the hot coffee mod.
Before that became a big deal. Yeah. That's a good
wild.
point. If you don't push the boundaries, then you don't know where you should draw them.
Yeah.
It also seems like a good way to justify pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's also a good way to justify being a dick. But I mean. He was referencing some illegal, not illegal controller stuff, but some controllers mods he found that are now banned.
Because since you worked at GameStop, that's pretty interesting. What's the biggest thing that you would say either happened or game or controversy that happened while you were at GameStop?
Controversy. I think the hot coffee mod was
probably
the biggest thing I experienced there. I think the biggest like thing I experienced just overall like cultural was the Wii launch. That was wild. The
What
Wii
launch?
The Wii, the original Wii.
Oh yeah, that was like wasn't that they were short for a year or something?
Yeah, it was just wild. The demand on that was insane. I had moms camping out during the Christmas season and like legit like buy like if they got a Wii, they would bring us like gift cards for dinner. Like they were insane about getting these things for Christmas. Like it's the only time I've ever experienced like that kind of mania.
That kind of hype and mania.
Yeah, we would get 72 in and be sold out in an hour and a half.
Dang.
Like it was wild. That was to me that was like the biggest like cultural phenomenon I had
I have
experienced.
a confession to make. I worked at GameStop during the Wii, and I hooked some people up and pushed some people down.
Sure.
I hooked some homies up, and I remember feeling really bad about it because it was the same thing, like a mom, like a nephew. I can't remember who it was, and it was like a mom had helped him out, but then I just realized like I just pushed that mom,
right,
and her sons, and I felt a little bad about it later because like they did the right thing and they were earlier, but I pushed someone else down to get it, and I did it twice that I can remember.
I think that's the first time I remember family members that were always dicks or I didn't know very well.
They're trying to
coming out of the
get
woodwork.
On your good side.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? You got one of those Wiis?
Yo, how's life, man? I don't know. I haven't seen you since I was fucking 12. Yeah, like that was the wild times.
That's a good point. I don't think there's been a console that has had that sort of momentum ever. Mm-hmm. That's probably, as far as you could say, sales in the first year, the greatest console of all time in that regards, wouldn't it be?
I think so. I think the Switch
might be close.
I think it's been passed since because gaming has obviously grown as an
bigger
industry.
than it was then, yeah.
But like the mania for sure. Like even like the Switch where, it's sold out everywhere. I had friends that were like, yeah, the Switch is super hard to get. It's sold out. I had to wait 2 weeks to get it. And I'm like, that's not
how it was with the Wii. Yeah.
The Wii was like months, right? Or you were camping out. I'm trying to think of anything. Again, it wasn't like a drama or any kind of like controversy, but that was like also the only time I clearly remember massive lines for games, right? Like Halo 2's launch was insane.
Big launches, yeah.
World of Warcraft expansions, right? Like that whole thing was so cool. Just like how I loved how much people loved those games, how passionate
you
they were
loved
about
seeing
those
the
games.
passion and the hype.
That was sick. It was also a lot of fucking weird people, but I thought those were cool. Like I loved the World of Warcraft launches, the Halo launches, like those were fun.
I remember they made me tuck your shirt in, right?
Yep.
I hated that shit.
It was so weird wearing
it made you look dumber. It made you I remember fighting that and they just would not bend.
Yeah, and that's another thing I think, like, culturally, it's like, why are you making us wear khakis and a polo? We sell fucking video games. Like, we should be high at work. You know what I mean? Like,
well, maybe I was.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, hopefully. But,
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. But you get my point, right? Like, you sell video games.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You bring joy. Like, you shouldn't be in a fucking suit and tie. Anyway, that's a whole other thing.
So you get back into gaming. You're working at GameStop, playing a lot of shooters. So you go from Xbox, it sounds like, to 360.
Definitely.
Did you not do any PS3?
I bought a PS3 late. Because PS3 came out first, right? No, it came out second.
360 came out first.
So yeah, definitely 360. Played, remember not Godzilla, King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yes.
That was like one of the launch titles.
I never played that.
It was fucking beautiful.
Was it good?
I don't think it was a good game, but it was pretty.
The next gen graphics blew you away. Yeah.
Of course, Call of Duty, right? Like played the hell out of Call of Duty.
Started.
Elder Scrolls, which turned out I don't love, but I played that because it was out. Geometry Wars. Oh my god, so much Geometry Wars. Yeah, a lot of those. Halo 3 was an Xbox 360 game, right? So played Halo 3.
Yes.
And then yeah, PS3 came out, and I remember waiting to buy it because it was like $600.
It was really expensive.
But I did buy a first gen eventually, and I don't like. There's no games on that. Like, I mean, the Uncharted games, right? Like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what pushed me over the edge. Was like, I have to fucking play this Uncharted game, and I mean, totally worth it, right?
Totally worth it.
Still worthwhile. Final Fantasy 13, a lot of the PS1 ports. So I went back and played all those again.
Yeah, so I used it for backwards compatibility because I had this big PS1 and PS2. I was basically PS1. I have been on from PS1. I've had every Sony console, basically close to launch or a year within launch.
Yep.
And that's what was awesome about the PS3 is I have backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
And when I have friends I could find the texts. But I called the PS5 backwards compatibility. I started telling people, messaging like. I kind of went a little bit overboard. I thought they were going to have PS1 all the way to PS4 backwards compatibility in one box. It's really just PS4. Yeah. But I was saying, like, look, they destroyed it this generation. PS4 outsold, has way more. Yep. It's just, aside from the Switch has really gained, but...
The Switch is such a good console.
PS4 is dominated, and they don't want to lose that momentum. And I was thinking, like, if I was Sony, what would I do? Well... The only thing that's going to get you to switch, if you can only buy one console, if you have a limited amount of money, if it gets you to switch, it's going to be an exclusive. Well, they have better exclusives. They have more exclusives. So that's on lock. If you add the backwards compatibility, because if you don't want me to switch to Xbox, the new Xbox, well, then don't abandon the investment I've put into your platform right now.
Yep.
And I thought, and I was thinking, well, I'm this lifelong Sony fan. And I heard rumors on NeoGAF and stuff about backwards compatibility, and someone said they're going to have PS1 all the way to PS4.
That would be dope.
Full backwards compatibility for everything, not disc-based, but digital-based, emulation-based.
Which makes sense, because that's where Apple's winning, right? Like their ecosystem.
It stays with you.
It stays with you, and that should be the same.
That should be the same.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did PS4 backwards compatibility. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So from here we're gonna kind of because I want people to come back on as a repeat guest. So I don't want to get into more modern games.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about fighting.
Sure.
Sort of getting back into fighting games.
Sure. And
when you decided to I'm gonna get good at this.
Yeah. So this would have been Street Fighter 4. So I bought Street Fighter 4 when it came out. Right. I'm like, I love Street Fighter. I'm buying this game. I'm buying the collector's edition. It comes with this stupid fucking action figure. I still have that Sea Viper in my office. So I bought that and I played it. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And I walked away. And about 6 years later.
So way later.
Yeah.
Was 5 already out at this point?
No.
Okay.
So they 6 years later, they came out with Ultra Street Fighter. They came out with Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition 2012. And it was $20. And my mother-in-law was like, future mother-in-law at this point was like, what do you want as a gift? And I was like, get me the Street Fighter game.
Yeah.
And my buddy Casey and I were talking, and we had played a bunch of games together, and he was like, dude, I love Street Fighter. I should teach you how to block. And I was like, what? He's like, I'll teach you how to block. So he put me through a blocking session. Literally, I'm going to jump roundhouse you until you can block jump roundhouse. Then I'm going to do jump roundhouse into jump roundhouse into sweep, and I'm going to do that until you can block that. Now I'm going to cross you up, and you need to block the other way.
Yeah.
And that's where it's.
And you started learning the actual deep mechanics.
Yeah, and at that point I was like, I want to play this game. And from there it just kind of went. And Street Fighter 4, I would say for the 3 years I played it competitively, I'm putting air quotes up. There's no video, but air quotes. Yeah. Because maybe there is video, but I'm just saying
fucking forgot to push record.
I'm sorry.
Oh well, no video this episode.
Anyway, so I'm doing air quotes for the listeners. I thought what I was doing was playing competitively, but really I was just grinding shitty habits and getting my ass beat and having fun doing it. And I started.
So you learned a little bit, but you still had bad habits.
I had combos. I had no fundamentals. I had no footsies, which is you're in your neutral game and your movement. Yeah. I didn't understand frame data, which is if you don't, you're
big part. Yeah,
you're not going to do well. So as 4 was wrapping up, we had finally started traveling. Right, we had gone to Evo. They had the PlayStation Experience, which is where they hosted the Capcom Cup first 2 years. So we'd gone to those, and we went to the last. So we went to the last one before Street Fighter V was coming out. They had announced Street Fighter V, I think, at Evo, and they said February 2016. This game is coming out. It will be focused on competitive gaming and esports, and we're going to drop this game. So we went to the last Capcom Cup for Street Fighter 4. It was super dope to watch. And we were like, all right, when 5 comes out, we're in. Like we're
going to start from
we're going to start from ground zero with the community, because in 4 there was already like 5 to 6 years of assumed knowledge we didn't have.
For those listening, explain what footsies and frame data is.
So footsies is the idea of picking your positions on screen and trying to get your opponent to do something that you can react to and challenge or punish.
It's like maybe distance management,
or like footsies in general is like, okay, so I'm walking back and forth in and out of range of their buttons, like where their buttons will hit me, because if they hit a button,
then you have a counter.
It's called whiff punishing, right? If that button whiffs in front of me, I have a button I can hit that'll whiff punish that, and that's part of footsies.
Yeah.
So footsies is like the overall idea of like moving back and forth in on your opponent and controlling space in front of you to make them take a risk that you can then benefit from. So like, we didn't have that. We didn't understand it. We're like, okay, when 5 comes out, we can start learning that. Frame data is certain animations take time to recover. And so if you block something, what's your advantage like, right? So if you're -2, the fastest normal in Street Fighter V is 3 frames. So if somebody's animation on block is -2, that means they're safe, but it's your turn. So I get to start pushing buttons, right?
Yeah.
Even though they'll be able to block them. But if they try to push a button when they're -2, I'm actually going to get the hit because they are starting up a new animation and I'm going to start earlier. And so when you start understanding that, there are certain sequences and certain moves that are -3, -4, -5.
So there's an opening.
And you get a punish. Exactly.
Yeah.
They then take damage for their mistake. And starting to understand that really started to push my game plan, because that's where the meta develops, right? You start looking at like, all right, well, this person's -2, so they're safe. But I know they've been pushing a lot of buttons when they're -2, which means I can push a slower button
and
I'll
still
get
happen. It'll still get it.
I'll get the counter hit and I'll get more damage.
Yeah.
Or they're -2.
How do you know when someone's they're too greedy, they're pushing too much?
You'll
tell by looking at them, or is it
they'll do it. Like you can watch them do it. It's habitual. Like if you'll start seeing the counter hits, or like you can kind of start to quickly assess players based on like how aggressive they are. And generally, aggressive players will push more buttons when they're not supposed to, or they'll take bigger risks.
So a real player just punishes you for spamming buttons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they, taking turns that aren't your turns, doing things that you're not supposed to do at specific ranges.
Yeah.
And that's how the meta develops, and the mind games really develop of like, well, I know that when you're -2, you like to do an invincible move, which means if I push a button, you're actually going to steal my turn and hit me. But if I know you're going to do that and I block, I get a hella punish.
Because then I waste my super move, and then I have a longer recovery time, and you can punish me.
And I get a big button, right? And so you start learning like the meta there, and that's where like the game gets really fun, because you're dealing with that, and you're playing against the player and the characters for the matchup. So we started learning that, and we started playing every week. So we started, every Wednesday we're going to your, my buddy Casey, Lord Bane, we're going to your house. Every Wednesday we're going to play. And we've been doing that for for 3.5 years at this point.
So 3.5 years, at least once a week, has gotten you enough to win a local tournament.
Yep. And I would say like...
It seems like you're probably a quick study.
No, I play a lot. So like, let's take into account that I was waking up every morning at 6, feeding my dogs, getting my coffee, playing till 8, going to work. Traveling to tournaments.
This is like your main hobby.
This is what I do.
This is what you do, yeah.
And like, at this point, I play 3 tournaments a month locally. I run the tournament at Quarters. I play at Game Den in Provo once a month, and I play at the KO Boxing Gym in West Valley, that my buddy owns. So I play at those tournaments. I was in Chicago at Combo Breaker. Last year I went to Florida and played in CEO. I went to the Capcom Cup and entered the Last Chance qualifier there. So I'm generally going to 2 to 3 major tournaments a year where there's like pros and really heavy hitters playing, and I'm playing 2 to 3 tournaments a month locally, plus practicing in my downtime. Yeah, so like... I think on my PC version, which I bought later than the PlayStation version, I have like 2,000 hours logged. And then
what is the standard for competition? PS4?
PS4, but both games play the same. And Capcom has cross-server functionality, so if I'm playing on my PC, I can play somebody on PlayStation. Because Capcom hosts their own servers.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I put a ton of time in, and the game is about, in my opinion, like there's 2 ways to look at the game. There's I have to win, or there's like fighting games are really about slow progression, self-awareness, and being willing to admit when you fuck up.
And learn from it
And
get
learn
better.
from it and get better. And like the people that have that mindset are always better than the people that don't. Like there's still like the shitty toxic gamer stuff where people rage and they get mad and they get frustrated.
Yeah.
But it's because they don't have the right mindset, and that's my favorite part about it. Like honestly, like I love
You like when you get your ass beat because you get better.
Yeah, and I like when
you get as good as who you play. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like when I get my ass beat and I say, "All right, clearly you knew something I don't," and they go, "Oh well."
And they help you out.
And they list off
Is the community
things.
pretty cool about talking about, like, people are open about what they're doing and trading ideas? And
Yeah, so there's a couple things. There's tons of Discord servers. There's character-specific Discords. Tons of communities that way. So, like, I'm in the Ibuki Discord, who's my main, and there's people always sharing tech. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Tons of people are streaming. Pros are playing. The one thing I will say is people read this as being a douche, and it's not. But, like, sometimes you will ask a person, hey, man, what did I do wrong on that matchup? And they'll just kind of give you a blank stare and shrug. It's not because they don't want to tell you. It's because it's sometimes really hard after finishing a match to process that information and spit it back. So you have to be
are you kind of in like a flow state when you're playing?
Yeah, and like you're focused on it. And like for me, like I've developed a habit a lot. Like when I finish a match, my brain dumps the data because you really want. For me, it's important to clear out what happened in that last match and just go into the next one, so you don't get salty, you don't get tilted, right? And so I have that problem. People are like, well, what can I do better? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. I was really focusing on
what I was doing.
But then, if you can sit down and play sets with that person, and that person
you start to be able to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and if that person is playing in a way to test you and give you feedback, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, there's tons of data out there. Everybody's sharing. There's frame data apps. There's people commentating. There's a guy named there's like Sajam. Sajam's a really cool commentator, and he also comes back from tournaments, and he does like slow-mo commentary where he'll break down sets and like talk through like the decision processes and why somebody would have done what they did, and he like slows the video down. He'll draw out spacing information. Like there's
a lot of good
content,
info out there to get good at,
especially in Street Fighter. Like the Street Fighter community has so much stuff.
Is that the biggest fighting game?
Actually, Tekken and Smash are bigger right now, but I would say from a data perspective, yes. Like, there's even books like Joe Monday. I'm a huge fan of his. He runs Reddit/Street Fighter. He has a book out called Geef's Gym, and it's a beginner to intermediate guide on how to get good at Street Fighter, and it coaches you through training tips and how things work, how to read frame data. Gutex, who's kind of an OG player, has a book called, I think it's called Footsies, actually. It might be called Footsies or something, but it talks about what Footsies is, and it's like 100 pages, but it's a really good in-depth guide. There's huge YouTube playlists out there of like Street Fighter 101, Fighting Games 101. There's just so much good content, and usually people are willing to sit down and talk you through it. The other thing that's hard too is like, say like I'm not good in, like say I sit down with a pro 3 years ago and ask them what did I do wrong, right? And they have a trouble telling me because their skill gap is so big. They're not thinking about the small things that I don't know. They're not understanding that I don't know frame data, right? So their answer is literally going to be, you need to learn frame data, and they'll just leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
Because they're playing a different game than I'm playing. And that's something that if you're getting new into fighting games, you need to understand is people that have been playing for a long time are playing a different game than you. They're not just playing the mechanics. They're playing you.
Yeah.
They know the system better than you. They know what they can get away with. They have reads. They understand what you're going to want to do. They can pick up your tendencies faster, which makes the game feel unfair. But it's not unfair. They're just really good.
There's just a skill gap.
It's a massive skill gap.
Massive skill gap.
Yeah, and the barrier to entry is kind of hard.
That's how it is with grappling. I mean, I wrestled a lot in high school, and I went to a grappling gym the first time with a friend who I knew in high school. I played Halo with, actually.
Yeah.
And I never knew he was like low-key behind the scenes training martial arts for 13 years. Nobody knew, and he's like really good submission grappler. And I think I'm like, he doesn't look intimidating either.
Sure.
I walk into the gym. Well, I message him like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing some submission grappling. Do you have one you could recommend, a gym? I know you do." He's like, "Oh, I actually own a gym. So well, come try mine out." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it's that same thing. Like it's not even, there is quite literally a 0% chance.
Yep.
But when you're fighting like stand up, I guess you could say you have a puncher's chance.
Sure.
But it sounds like Street Fighter is a new player against someone who, like you, even you who's not world class.
Sure.
Like if I would play in Street Fighter, I would say there's a 0% chance I could win.
Yeah, maybe 5%.
Actually, like zero. There's no way to get lucky and knock you out when you're like, if you're being lazy.
Sure.
Like, there's just levels, and that's how it is. And that's why I'm saying it kind of overlaps with grappling. Like there's nothing. Like when you roll, and I've been rolling for 3 years, and there's still a 0% chance that I will ever catch my instructor. He has to dumb down and come down to my level,
right,
and play with me, and he's at like 5%, 10%.
Yeah,
and that's why it would be hard for him to say, what am I doing wrong? And he's like, well, where do I start?
Exactly.
Because the level, it's like you don't even know what you don't know to not know to. And I can see how that would be hard.
And not to mention, too, like in an open bracket format, when anybody can enter, anybody can be a part of this, not everybody's a good teacher, right? And that's a skill in and of itself. And so, like,
just because you're good doesn't mean you're a good teacher.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, like, you may know what the other person needs to do, but you may not have the ability to put that into words for them. And that's also a thing. There's a lot of top players that just can't explain
why they're so good.
Yeah. Like, they know what they need to do, but they can't put it into words for you to explain it to you at a level you'll understand. So, yeah.
I want to talk, we mentioned this before the podcast. I want you to talk about, is his name Diego?
Daigo, yeah.
Daigo, playing with him, why he's a celebrity, talk about the famous comeback, why it's a big deal in fighting game. Explain away, like, if someone, they know what fighting games are, but they don't.
I actually gave a presentation about this
at
work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like, I stood up in front of, like, 250 of my coworkers and tried to explain that it was great. But,
why this was an awesome comeback.
So, this is in Street Fighter Third Strike. The game has a parry system. So, what it means is if you were to tap forward on the exact...
Is it Third Strike? I thought it was Alpha 3.
This was Third Strike.
Okay. My memory must be wrong.
If you tap forward at the exact moment that a button hits you, you would parry it, which means you would actually absorb
the hit. You block
and
you don't take any damage, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't even a block; it was a counter. So you would hit it, and their animation would still be going, but you would be free to move, so you could punish.
Yeah.
So you would take a little bit of damage. No, you wouldn't take any damage. You're right.
Because he's down to to set the stage.
The
This player Daigo is down to like a sliver. He's almost lost. He has no life.
And he's playing Ken, and he's against Justin Wong, who is from New York, now in Northern California. Still a prevalent player. He just had Defend the North this last weekend. I think he won 8 of the 10 games he entered. So Justin basically is like, I'm going to chip you out. Right, because you have no health left. If you block super moves in a lot of fighting games or normals, it
still hurts you.
It'll still hurt you, and that was the case. So he used Chun-Li's super, which is like 15 hits. So Daigo successfully parried all 15 hits, and then was able to punish Justin and kill him with his super. And what's crazy is that wasn't even grand finals. That was like winners top. That was like top 8, like round 3. Like there were still like 3 rounds of the tournament to go with other players. But
is that the most famous fighting game clip?
Yes.
Because I've heard of it. Yeah.
There are, I would say, thousands of people that play fighting games because of that clip.
Because of that clip.
It
when I saw it, and I knew enough about fighting games, what I thought watching it was, okay, I played enough fighting games. I know that usually when you block, even if it's not a super move, a lot of games you still take a tiny bit of damage.
Exactly, and you can die from chip.
And definitely any sort of super move or power attack, you block, you still take damage. And so he's down to no. I'm like, oh, he's got no health. And then I realized, like, oh, he must be blocking it. I didn't know about parries.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Street Fighter must have some sort of mechanic. If you block it perfect, you don't take any damage. Because he just blocked all of those, and he should have died, even though he was blocking. And then he comes back and kills him, and everyone starts freaking out. Everyone's yelling up and screaming. And you got to play with him.
I did
later.
In 5, yeah. So I played him last year at EVO.
And how was that?
Man, it was an experience. So there's a photo on my Twitter at Thomas Winkley of me playing him. So first of all, I had no idea how many people were behind us. Because like I put on I put my earbuds in, I plugged it into. So they have like little stations where you can plug your headphones in and hear the game audio.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm playing Daigo. So I sat down,
this
I plugged
is
in my
real.
controller, I put my earbuds in and I plugged in, turned it up so all I could hear was the music, and I played. And that photo of me on my Twitter was actually on Red Bull Esports because there were like photographers floating around taking pictures. And there was like it was probably like 40, 50 people behind us watching this match at this little station, right? So the first round was like feeling each other out. I was feeling pretty solid. I reacted to stuff I should have reacted to. I punished him for some things, took a round off of him with some really good mix-ups. And then he barely beat me that first game or like edged me out that first game. And then the next game, his adaptations were so solid. Like it felt like there was nothing I could have done.
0% chance.
0% chance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
0% chance.
He put up a defensive wall, the likes of which I could not move past. And anytime I made an attempt to move past it, I lost 10% of my health. every time, and he just
punished you,
locked
yeah.
me out. And arguably, like I play Ibuki, the best Ibuki in the world is named Fujimura. He's from Japan, and he plays Daigo all the fucking time, right? So not only
Daigo's familiar with Ibuki.
super comfortable,
Yeah.
and he's comfortable with every character, to be honest. So yeah, it was crazy. It was a really good experience though, because it was the first time in the 7 years that I've played competitive fighting games that I didn't feel lost. I felt beaten, but I didn't feel lost, if that makes sense. There was
know what you
never
mean,
a
yeah.
moment, like afterwards, I didn't walk away going, oh, fuck, I don't know
What
what I could have
happened?
done. Yeah.
I know what he did.
I know what he did. I know why I lost, and I know where I can be better to get to him one day. And that was like the coolest feeling in the world, because I remember my first Evo showing up 0-2, losing the tournament immediately, and not remembering most of the matches. It was like a whirlwind.
Just a rude awakening to where you were at. Yeah.
Exactly. So it felt really good to go back at my 6th year at Evo and be like, I get it.
I can kind of hang.
And I was like one game away from getting out of my pools, like right on the cusp, right? Like it just felt like the work I put in.
You're getting better. You see the progress.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that's your favorite gaming memory of all time? Because you're so into fighting games? Or if you had to pick one?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. That one's up there. Yeah, I think that's my top one. Like that was a really, really good gaming memory. Yeah, that's probably my top. I think winning Salt Lake Gaming Con was super fun just because it's the first time I've won like a tournament on a stage in front of people. So that was kind of dope.
That was cool.
But like playing Daigo was like once in a lifetime, right? Like out of 2,500 entrants, I happened to be put on his side of the bracket.
Yeah.
Had to win my first game to get to him. Did it. Played him. It was pretty sick. It was pretty fun. So yeah, that's definitely my top.
What does he play as?
He plays Guile, and Guile is a motherfucker. So yeah, he plays a really good Guile.
Okay, give me. Let's wrap this up with your second and third best all-time gaming memories.
Ooh, second and third best. Man, I will say my second best will be going to Capcom Cup the first year they had it. It was in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. And I just remember getting into a room full of people who liked this as much as I did. And it was the first time I had ever seen like a Street Fighter tournament put on as a full production. And it was fucking incredible. I mean, the lighting, the music,
Starstruck a little.
the audio. Yeah, it was super sick. This other game memory I have is just like stupid, but it's hilarious. Getting on the elevator at Evo 2 years ago, Fudo, who's an incredible Japanese player, and he plays that mech game you were talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but he's like a world champion at that. But he gets on the elevator, and another pro player gets on, and the pro player just starts like heckling the shit out of Fudo, and Fudo speaks no fucking English. So he just sits there with this like fuck you grin on his face, like nodding at him, like, yeah, fuck you, dude. And it was just hilarious. And so it's just a good memory because we're all just standing in this elevator while these two are just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Like,
You just going at it like, oh, we're witnessing a little.
Like,
yeah.
This is real uncomfortable, but it's also
interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, so that was another good memory. There's also, I mean, man, you always drink when you play Street Fighter, right? I just have some great memories of drunk Street Fighter nights. Game's great.
I mean, I knew you were good at Street Fighter, but I didn't know you.
I'm okay.
You're into Street Fighter.
Yeah, dude, it's
your main gig. Are you playing any other games at all?
I play MK11. I really like Mortal Kombat 11. Actually, I don't put enough time into it, and then just like RPGs and stuff. I play a lot of mobile games. I don't know if you play Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
Is it good?
Oh my god, it is like crack. It's like it's a gacha game, like a gachapon thing. And then you play. There's a story, and then there's raids, and it's. If you don't play it, you shouldn't because it'll just absorb you. But I play that. I play Legend of Dragalia on my phone, which is same thing, but it's done by Cygames.
So you're still in the JRPG sort of.
Yeah, I still like
dabbling.
I still play hella RPGs, like especially if it's on the Switch. Like I'm playing it. Like
what are you playing on Switch right now?
So Octopath still, Bloodstained still. I Am Setsuna I have queued up, so hopefully it's not as. Hopefully it's okay. I still need to finish Hollow Knight on that.
How do you feel about Bloodstained? Have you beat it?
I haven't. I'm not very. I'm probably like 4 hours in. I like it, but I can definitely see where it's not Symphony.
It's not.
But it's good enough.
It's good.
It's what I've been wanting. Like I just want.
It's better than no new game.
Yeah, it's better than no new Castlevania-ish game, right?
Yeah.
And, like this game is basically Castlevania with a modified story, which I love. So I really like it. There's definitely some weird stuff on Switch I'm seeing, like items will get stuck in ceilings and stuff. But I don't know that I care because I just wanted a new game to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm liking it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really on my queue. I 100%ed Mario Odyssey. I thought that game was fucking phenomenal. The skill
You got
challenges,
all the
all of
stars or
them,
moons or
every
whatever?
single thing. The
Oh, yeah.
skill challenges in that are so dope. And they're so akin to like landing one frame combos in fighting games that I couldn't not. So I really liked that. I've actually been playing some retro stuff. So I just finished building a MAME emulator with my Raspberry Pi, and I'm building a cabinet. So I've been playing quite a bit of Street Fighter Third Strike on my emulator.
I bought the Street Fighter Anniversary Edition for
Dude,
Switch.
it's so good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like that collection. And then I really want to play Dauntless, but I've installed it and I just haven't played it. But I really want to.
Dude, you know what I need to do? I need to pay you. I'm saying this on live, so I'll actually do it.
Fair.
I need to pay you to like live Skype with me and like walk me through doing simple stuff in Unity. If you know enough about it.
Dude, yeah. So
I would pay you like lessons.
I mean, like I'll hang out with you and show you stuff. Like, I'm a Unity certified instructor and Unity certified programmer. So like I know Unity pretty well. Like I wouldn't consider myself a grandmaster, but like I can help you animate a sprite sheet pretty quick.
I just need to wrap my mind around the fundamentals and the basics.
So
because a lot of times I'll watch like a tutorial video and try to follow it in real time, but there's even beginning stuff.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of like they have the curse of knowledge. They don't know what I don't know.
Let me get you access to my company. Because
Okay.
the guy that does our fundamentals course is Unity's master trainer, and he taught me, and he's really, really good at teaching beginners. So I'll get you a code and check
Sweet.
that out because it's like 7 hours of like everything, and then from there you can decide how further down the rabbit hole you want to go because it's good. Like Josh is really good.
Sweet. Well, how can people find you online? Let's wrap it up.
Oh yeah. So at Thomas Winkley on Twitter, I'm generally yelling about politics.
So you get into politics? I need to follow you.
Man, a little bit. Like I generally just scream about how people are dipshits and I hate our president. Like it's nothing. I don't have like educated takes. It's generally just like, why is this guy a prick? Street Fighter. I talk about Street Fighter, game dev, and occasionally I get really mad and yell about politics, and that's pretty much it. But
And do you big? What do you talk about normally on the Big Shiny
so
Robot?
we talk about whatever's going on in pop culture. We used to have like a very rigid schedule of video games, comics, collectibles. Now that we're all kind of going our own ways as adults and doing more stuff, like I talk a lot about fighting games. I buy a lot of collectible toys, specifically fighting game collectible toys. I build fight sticks as a hobby, so I'll talk about those.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Do you sell them? Plug those.
I mean, I don't really sell them, but I'll build them for people if they want and help them.
Yeah.
I just order all the stuff and then assemble them. I'm building one that's made out of wood. I'm pretty excited about. Like I got like a custom case from a guy in Denver.
Have you ever thought about building like one of those custom MAME arcade cabinets?
I'm working on one right now.
Really? Because I initially thought about back in the day generating leads because it's very niche and very low competition. I could dominate the marketing for that.
Yeah.
But when I was like calling around other companies and asking about like affiliate deals and it was too niche. It wouldn't really.
And
there's not enough people buying them.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think like especially those MAME cabinets that there's companies that are making them. Like Arcade 1UP is like the one that's selling them right now, and I don't know how they're doing it.
It's like a legal sort of.
Yeah, I think
it's illegal, right?
I think they're licensed. I think they get the licensing because like they're advertising their Street Fighter cabinets at Capcom events that Capcom is running. So they have to.
That has to be.
It's got to be licensed.
Yeah.
Like there's no way they're advertising.
There's these other companies I'll see on Instagram or Facebook,
like X Arcade,
or like these, and it's like all these games and a little emulator. Or what, and I'm like, those are just great, emulation. Yeah. That has to be illegal. You can't retail, but. I think they just like change company names and I don't know.
I think what they're doing is they're basically saying we'll get you the cabinet and then they direct you on how to install the shit so that you're breaking the law once you get the. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're just selling you the hardware and then you're using the hardware.
Because it says it comes with. Maybe they do that. They say it comes with everything, but maybe you have to do the final steps to like get the emulator to run or whatever. We can talk about emulators for a second. I do a lot of emulation.
Okay.
One, I wanted to ask you, so we glazed over any PC gaming. I know you did Diablo.
Which I do, yeah.
But I know you went back and played Doom. Have you fucked with Brutal Doom?
What, Brutal Doom? No.
Do you know what Brutal Doom is?
No.
We're going to stay online just for a second. I have to show you this.
Yeah, I haven't...
You're going to real-time reaction video to Brutal Doom.
Yeah, I've never done... Like, I love Doom. Even the new Doom. Like, the new Doom is... Like, I don't like shooters, and this new Doom is crack. I love it.
Here, there's the...
What is Brutal Doom?
This is like a singular mod for the old Doom that's been worked on for like 10 years.
It's already got the metal riffs.
I've been playing a shit ton of this.
This looks amazing. What the... Holy fuck.
They have like physics, animation, more blood, more guns. You can like actually play like a traditional first person, like strafe and look up and down.
Yeah.
They have new like death animations.
The blood is like actually moving and splattering.
The blood splatters,
Look at the melee.
Kicks, punches. They have roll down. They have like ragdoll physics.
Yeah. Yeah, this is...
This is so badass.
Oh my god. It's just going. The arms flying off.
There's a flamethrower.
Did they run around on fire?
Yeah. This is like the Doom modding community's
Dude, this
the
is sick.
poster child. Like the most comprehensive mod. Yeah, they have third person.
They have like death animate, like glory kills. Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's... I need to play that. That looks amazing.
So yeah, we're plugging Brutal Doom, but that's
that looks sick.
I just recently got into this. I started playing with like GZ Doom, whatever. It's like the Doom mod manager.
Yeah.
That's amazing. For emulators, what's your go-to emulator? Have you played with the Dolphin?
I haven't. So I had Dolphin on my Mac.
Okay.
And I liked it. Honestly, like all the emulation I've been doing is on a Raspberry Pi. So I installed.
I haven't got into that at all.
It's easy. Like it's quick Linux install. It's all imaged. So like you use like a Windows disk imager to image an SD card and then drop it into a Raspberry. But I've been doing that and doing a lot of. So like I got the arcade ports of all like the old Street Fighters running on it. And then like emulating, of course, like Super NES, going back and playing some of those.
So you haven't been doing like PS2, GameCube
Not yet.
emulation?
I haven't done that on my PC yet.
Okay.
No,
I've been trying to get Breath of the Wild. There are people out there with the new CMU, which is the Wii U emulator, getting Breath of the Wild to run at 4K 60 FPS.
Damn.
I have the 2080 Ti and a decent CPU, and I can't do it. And I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's
and I've been trying to figure that out. I was hoping maybe
I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. And with the graphics card I'm staring at, you should be able to do.
Because when it comes to PC, I can do whatever I want. Like everything is. There's only actually. What did I play? Sometimes open world games.
Really?
Well, like not quite true 4K 60 FPS. A lot of new games you can set it in 4K and they'll have a resolution slider. So instead of having to drop, I meant like frame rate Nazi, it's got to be solid 60.
Yep.
Or I'm gonna change some graphic settings.
Yeah.
So usually you can drop like shadows or something, but you can go from 4K to 1440, which is half, and it's a noticeable difference, especially when you're sitting really close.
Yeah.
Some games though, like the new Doom, the 2016 Doom, which is awesome. You played it?
So good.
Oh my god,
so good.
that soundtrack to that game,
dude, it's amazing. I listen to it. I can't have it on in the car. I cannot drive with that on because like my heart's. I'm doing 90.
Nothing hits harder than that soundtrack.
Dude, yeah, it's so it's just like
so heavy.
It's fucking baller.
It's like metal glitch.
Yeah,
prog,
it's like
electronic
post-up industrial. Yeah,
it's
good.
Mick Gordon, who's
have you seen the 666 thing he put in one of the songs? If you pull the spectral waveforms of one of the tracks, he actually figured out
a way to make it say 666.
Yeah,
that is so awesome.
Just little Easter eggs. Yeah, dude, that album.
So good. But what was I saying about Doom 2016? Oh, it has a resolution slider. So instead of dropping to 1440, you can set it at 4K and then do 90% of 4K.
So you
can find the perfect maximum resolution where you can get the 60 frames. But that graphic card is amazing. But for whatever reason with CMU, I can't get Breath of the Wild to run 4K 60. And I purposely have waited because I'm like, if I have a PC and emulator and I know that, I'm like, I want to play that game in the ultimate.
Yeah.
The ultimate. I want to give a shout out to. There's a guy on YouTube called Kryzen X.
Okay.
I don't know if he does doesn't do Unity, but he's building a full remake of Ocarina of Time in Unreal 4, or maybe it is Unity. I'm pretty sure it's Unreal 4, and he has playable versions that you can download.
Sick.
And that's like one of those kids. I don't know how he hasn't got a cease and desist. He's been working on it for like. Usually Nintendo's like really
super litigious,
super intense about that, but he's still cracking at it.
Damn.
Have you thought about doing any, like, since you know Unity well?
Off and
jumping
on.
into the game?
I do a lot of prototyping. I'm building a D&D app right now. I've got the first version of it running on my phone where to like calculate all your stats and your rolls and all that type of stuff. I'm working on making it more of a platform. Here's me talking startup languages, but like where you can basically take the spell book, dump it as a JSON file, and then I can import everything so you can like customize it. But like I like making games, I like making game prototypes, but I like recreating systems. I mean, if a company came along and I had a job offer, I would probably do it. But like the indie game grind is not something I'm really interested in.
There was a really good
brutal.
article I read, I believe, on Polygon, which is I don't know if you like Polygon.
I'm off and on.
You're on.
Some of their journalists make me want to punch them in the throat, but
they do have some.
They're pretentious, man.
There's some pretentious.
Yeah.
They are kind of like the cool. I met who was it from Kotaku that left, went to Polygon? He was not Nathan Grayson. Was one of their. He was like their main dude on Kotaku forever, and he went to Polygon. He's got the long hair and the goatee, black hair.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
What's his name? I met him at E3 and asked about. Like how do you like Polygon? Because I've been reading IGN and Kotaku. IGN, Kotaku, and Rock Paper Shotgun are like my three main sites. And I saw him at E3, and me asking like, how do you like Polygon? I like you guys. He was very sort of like bitch, like just very pretentious.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you're not like famous. It's not like a lot of people.
Right.
It's a very rare person like me who's going to recognize you, number one.
Yeah.
And know that you went from Kotaku to Polygon. And he treated me like I was, I don't know. You're at E3. I don't know.
Yeah, and like, so the thing that turned me off on Polygon is, did you ever read that article they did about when the last Guitar Hero came out?
No.
And it was basically like this dude went to a party for this game that he was there to cover. And it was basically the entire article was him talking about how he was put on a rooftop party in LA to play Rock Band or Guitar Hero, and he couldn't be less thrilled because he would rather be drinking wine and talking politics. And it was like, then fuck you, go write for the New Yorker. There's other sources for that, my guy. Like, how about you do what Activision paid your flight to do and tell me about this game that I might want to buy? And that was the moment I was like, I can't fucking read this. I can't.
Well,
I just can't.
They did have a really good article about the saturation of the indie game world and how many games are released on Steam and how hard it is to make money. Yep. And I felt bad because I'm like, dang it, I want more indie games. I play a lot of them. I buy them, but like putting a game on Steam it's like putting an album out. Yep. Good luck. There's a million albums that come out every Friday or every Tuesday.
Doesn't do anything to help you boost that exposure. Yeah. Right? Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter I've seen, and I can't remember their handles, but they'll tweet about like, hey, like, because there's like itch.io, there's Steam, there's GOG, there's like different platforms, and I've literally seen people tweeting screen grabs of their like engagement metrics from different platforms, and they're getting way better engagement on itch.io, GOG, like
and they're Steam, which has all the player base.
Yeah, and they're like, so why am I getting a way higher conversion rate here, and here than I am here? And I think part of it is, there's 1,000 new games a day launching or whatever. It's not that big, but it's a huge number.
Yeah,
and the sales on Steam aren't going up by that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're slowly raising, but the content dump is huge. So how do you even get exposure? And that's like, I love making stuff. I like the idea of building something in my own time. Like, I've sat in meetings being bored and like made a little platformer. You know what I mean? Like, but like had the guy a robot jumping off platforms. But like,
you'd never entertained the thought of trying to make a game, really?
I don't think so. I think it's just like at this point, I'm way more interested in pushing myself as a fighting game player, as a content creator, and streaming, and just.
There's a better path for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, just hanging out with misses, like, too. Like, sometimes I just want to smoke weed and watch bad movies, and that makes it hard to do anything else sometimes, so.
Dang. But you learned Unity working at Pluralsight,
at my job, yeah. So the short story is I started doing AV production for them, coaching people on making content. I got promoted in a way to recruiting game development authors for that pipeline. And I started to really realize I had a knack for it because I was watching a lot of the content and going to conferences and talking to people to get them into our, to get them to make content for us. And then I started really clicking with the guy running the platform, running that part of it, and I started really researching it. Going into October of 2017, when did he leave? It was 2017. We had a deal with Unity. We're their training partner, so we were producing content for them, and we were on a super bad deadline. So I was basically like, all right, dude, you record it because he was doing content, and I will edit it and push it. So you record, I edit because that will speed the pipeline up. And so I ended up watching,
a lot
35 hours of Unity content. And by the end of it, I was like, I understand this. Like, I get this.
Yeah.
And so I started really doubling down and learning in my off time. And then going into the end of the year, he took a job at Unity. And they were like, well, you're the only other person at the company that understands this at all. So good luck. It's yours now. Run it. And so from there, I just started taking a lot more courses. Unity actually came to me and gave me
kind of trial by fire. You had to up your game, And
I started having to like troubleshoot project code for students who were getting stuck on stuff. And so I started learning that way. And then Unity actually came to me and was like, hey, like, do you want to be a certified instructor? Here's the program. We'll cover the fees. And I started just diving in and full bore basically at that point. And so I spent like a year working and then training myself and working, kind of bouncing back and forth until I finally got to where I'm at now. And even now, like, I would consider myself like...
How much does Pluralsight charge for like the full Unity course?
So as somebody not able to speak for Pluralsight professionally, it's like $35 a month for full access to the whole platform.
That's not bad at all, because that article I was talking about on Polygon, they were kind of talking about places like Full Sail.
Right.
That are sort of predatory.
Super predatory.
You can take big loans out.
Yep.
Very few of their students actually make money.
And the thing with Pluralsight is it's, $35-$40 a month, and you get access to everything. So you're not just getting the Unity content.
It's everything.
You're getting C#, Java, .NET, Marketing Cloud, Creative Cloud, like all, like there's like, there's like 6,500 courses on that platform. And so, like, you have everything. So if you're like, well, I want to learn how to program more, and I've gone as far in the Unity coding stuff. Well, Unity is based on C#. There's 1,000 hours of C# content I can go watch and become a better developer. So that's a totally fair deal. Yeah, it's not bad. And I learned it, and that's kind of where I picked it up, and now I'm doing other stuff too. And code's fun, man.
Sweet, man. If you want to learn how to play a game, go to Pluralsight.
Go to
I mean,
Pluralsight.
learn how to make a game.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to play a game, just play them.
Just play them. Yeah. And
if you learn how to fight in fighting games, I guess check you out.
So that's actually something I should put. So we are building a big community here in Utah.
Let's talk about that,
Yeah, and our goal is to build an inclusive, welcoming community for anybody. So we have a Discord. On Twitter, we're at GetGoodFGC. Our Discord is Get Good. You can find us. There's an 801 fighting game Facebook group. I think it's called 801 FGC. I'm the admin of that too. So hook it up. If you want to learn to play, there's tons of players of all different levels. We train together. We play casuals every Thursday at Game Grid in Midvale. There's a couple tournaments we go to. We're always talking tech. We're always playing online. We're always doing stuff. If you need help with an arcade stick, if you need help with a certain character matchup, whatever, we have resources for all of that. We have backing from quite a few groups. FocusAttack.com, which is one of the number one part retailers for sticks, sponsor us, help us get stuff. AllFightSticks.com, the manufacturers bodies, Quarters Arcade Bar, X-Mission Internet. So we have groups helping us build community. And again, we're just about getting people together, hanging out, playing fighting games, and we want everybody to come play. If you are bad at games and want to get good at them, if you're just casual and just want to hang around.
If you never touched Street Fighter, you can show up.
Yeah, show up, hang out.
Yeah.
And we will do our best to help coach you and talk to you, and it's just way fun. So,
what's the origin of Get Good?
So it was a joke, actually.
Because I heard it from Dark Souls community.
Yep, and people just...
Is that where it started?
I think it was around that, and people in fighting games say it all the time, I don't know, man, just get good. They just say that, right?
Yeah, just get good.
And so we took it as a joke, and we always just started saying that as a sarcastic, if someone's an asshole, they'll just tell you to get good, right? And so then we made a Discord server and called it Get Good as a joke. And then it just kind of started piling people in and building, and we were like, well, shit, now we have this thing and we're committed.
Let's just run with it.
Let's just run with it. So yeah, we just did our first run of shirts for the Utah community to take to Evo. We're running a tournament in November, so it's the best of Utah. So basically, we have a whole ranking system on getgoodfgc.com where we're using a tournament API to scrape points. We have a whole thing set up.
Have you heard of a podcast called I Am Salt Lake?
Uh-huh.
Have you been on it?
I have not.
You should be on that.
But I am in...
Because he always, he highlights dope shit
Yeah.
that's happening in Utah.
Yeah,
I don't think he's had anything on about video game communities or nerd. I think he's had some nerd
So Lucas from Big Shiny Robot's been on there. He was the one that owns our site, but I should hit up Chris. I like Chris a lot.
I was on his podcast way back in the day when I started the record label, Damn Son.
Oh, dude, yeah, I still follow Damn Son on Instagram.
Yeah, so there's my business partner's still running it, and anyway, he had me on, and he's awesome. He's super chill. I guarantee you could get on it. I'll try to link you guys up.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Because
you should talk about that because he has a fairly big local listener base, and if there's people that are interested in fighting games and interested in that would be the perfect place for you to talk about it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah. Check us out. We do stream twitch.tv/getgoodfgc. We stream out of quarters once a month. We run our tournaments. There's usually commentary. I can't say it's the most professional stream because, we've been drinking, but it goes hand in hand. And starting soon, so we just got internet put in at the KO Boxing Gym where we run our monthly, it's called Salt Lake Skirmish. That's run by Mark Means, dope dude. Thanks to Armando for letting us. It's a legit ass boxing gym, and we actually have PlayStation set up in the ring, and people are playing in the boxing ring. It's so
that's
fun.
A cool.
It's fun, dude.
That's a cool environment for a fighting game. Yeah, that's badass.
It's super fun. But
props to the gym for allowing that.
Yeah, and Armando's an amazing. He plays Birdie in Street Fighter V. Super dope guy, awesome boxer. But he's a boxing coach, boxer, and he plays Street Fighter with us. But we're getting internet put into his gym, so we'll start streaming out of the gym as well. So more content coming that way, so you can watch people in Utah play. Maybe it's just on stream from Evo. So, yeah.
Sweet, man.
Thanks,
dude.
It's
been fun. Thanks for coming.
Hell yeah, brother. Good seeing you again.
All right, guys. See you guys later.
And that is a rippity rapids. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're listening to this, as always, that means you listen to the entire podcast, which blows my mind. Means I love you. Wrong time. Now go forth and share the good news of the Great Gaming Memories Gospel. Share this podcast with your friends, your families, your cats, your dogs, your exes. I don't give a shit. Coming up next on the podcast, we have one of my age-old friends, Adam Scott, also known as Atamu. He makes awesome artwork, fan art, sells it online under Atamu. It was a great time talking to him. You guys are definitely going to enjoy that show as well. Make sure to stay tuned. Until then, bye.